Hi! That was the count to go live. I meant to look up at the screen when the count finished. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. Tonight we are down some of our wonderful players because that's just what happens in life sometimes. But we are going to continue on with the story, and we are going to have some kind of like side adventures go on tonight. So please stick around. We should hopefully have all sorts of fun adventures. And we have officially moved our start time to 7 p.m. PDT, PST, whatever you want to call it. And we'll be at this slot on Sunday for some time, hopefully. Eventually, we do hope to move to a different day, but that's probably a couple months away. But we decided to make this move so we could have a little bit more time to play D&D, because sometimes it feels like we just don't get enough. I know I don't get enough, at least. So we're going to go ahead and hop in. I assume that tech and everything is sounding good and looking good and stuff as the DM buys time. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and pick up pretty much where we left off from the last episode. It's just going to be a couple hours. So everybody, we finished the last episode after the Hagstone was broken, and everybody in the room when the Hagstone was broken was sucked into sort of a nightmarish void and had to deal with some interesting consequences of this being broken. It was all hallucinations, and only one person got a crossbow bolt through them in reality. After everybody escaped this vision, the party decided that it was time for bed. So everybody broke up into their individual bedrooms and went to sleep for the night. Hour and a half after everybody went to bed, a giant storm broke out over Orishire that had been building for some time, and everyone got the chance to fall asleep to roaring rain, sloshing seas, and just kind of that nice background noise of a huge storm. The most privacy any of them have had since beginning this crazy adventure, I think 4 days ago is what we're technically at? 4 or 5 days?
Mm-hmm.
5 days now?
I think
probably?
5 now,
5
yeah.
days. 5 days ago. So everybody's had a chance to catch their breath a little bit, get some sleep. You already had 8 hours of sleep to begin with today, and hopefully you're getting more. And you just have time to unpack everything that's been going on. So that's where we're going to pick up, is a couple more hours into the night. So it was about 10 o'clock or so once everybody was able to get to bed after the events with the Hagstone. And then the storm broke out about midnight, and I'm going to say that we're picking up about like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, which seems to be an eventful time in Orishire, because lots of things have happened at the night so far as people have been in town.
There's one less hag causing problems now.
There is one less hag causing problem. There's less cultists roaming the streets and, sacking people's houses and stuff. So maybe it is less, maybe there isn't as much going on.
Surprise, second hag.
Yes. They always travel in packs.
Yes.
That would be, well, actually they do. I mean, usually they're in covens and stuff, but this one was kind of a feral hag that was by themselves, thankfully, or as far as we know. But we're going to pick up with Half Pint, because even though it's still a decent downpour outside, Half Pint decided that they needed to speak to Gaspard, I believe it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going to make your way over to his room, which was only, I believe, 2 down from yours. And when you get there, it's dark inside, which is no surprise, of course. But repeated knocking on the door is not yielding a response. And would you, how much would you persist with this?
Yeah, I'm concerned for his safety, so I'm just gonna bang as loud as I can.
Okay. So once it escalates beyond generic knocking and you put some force into it, the door actually swings open and everything is, it's lived in. They obviously were using the bed. You see their one of their overcoats they use on the floor. They're not there though.
Stuff is still there though?
Yeah, everything's still there, but it looks like they could have stepped out or something like that.
Okay, cool. I go back to my room.
As you're walking away, give me just a general perception check.
12 total?
12?
Yeah.
You need to get my dice out. You notice as you turn around, close the door and start walking back to your room, there's a lot of activity in the keep. So the lights were starting to wink out when you went to bed originally. All the windows are lit up at varying levels of light right now, and there's no guards around your rooms like there were previously. So
And we were told they were going to stand out there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The big iron gate has dropped. You do see a tiny access gate off to the side with torches, and it's obviously open, and there's one guard by it, and like everybody's still here and stuff, but it looks like the majority of them have shifted inside the keep for some reason right now.
Okay, so I know that you're in there with your friend, so I'm going to go to Cass's room.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something going on out here. You might want to come take a look.
Pull on basic clothes and poke my head out. Party in the keep?
I don't think it's a party. The gates are down.
Okay. We should get the others.
Yeah, I would. Well, Gasparda's not here. His
What?
stuff is still here. Like, they'll be back. I'm sure that Gaspard will be back because that cloak, that hideous thing, it's still here.
That's such a gorgeous cloak, though.
Sure it is. Not the point. Gaspard is not here.
Yeah. Hopefully Gaspard is in the keep. And this is all Gaspard's fault.
Probably.
Yes.
It very much could be.
All right, let's get Ray, let's get Vander and Sonny then. So I'll go knock on Vander's door.
Same thing. There's no response immediately on Vander's door. How far would Cass push it, knowing which Cass knows right now?
I just opened the door.
It opens, and it's the same thing that you just heard about Gaspard's room. Obviously lived in. In fact, you can still smell the fresh smell of like recently brewed tea, and you can still see like a set out next to the bed that's like half drank, and you can see like steam coming from it, but they're not there.
Okay, so Vander might be with Gaspard, so at least maybe they're buddy systeming. It's good to travel in packs.
I mean, yes, but why would he take... Why would Gaspard take Vander and not me?
Maybe they were having a lovely chat about tea. I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't feel very good about this, but okay, let's go check on Sonny.
All right.
Yes?
There's some hullabaloo, and Vander and Gaspard are not in their rooms.
Give me a minute.
So at this point, for you, Sonny, Matilda, like after they had a chance to talk about everything, she has finally passed out and is solidly asleep for the moment. She didn't wake up with you talking or the knock. And you have maybe perception check?
Okay.
Sorry, it's tough to notice.
14.
14? She seems like, for lack of a better word, possibly regenerating a little bit right now because the clothes are starting to fit a bit better. Because
Okay.
she's still wearing your old outfit, the battle damaged one, and it kind of seems like as baggy as it was on her before. Now that she's getting more sleep, she has food in her and stuff like that. It seems like maybe that's what's going on. She's still breathing. She seems fine. You probably could wake her if you want. She hasn't woken up yet. So.
Okay. I think Sonny's just going to leave a note real quick. And then go join everybody at the door.
Out of curiosity, what does the note say?
Mostly just be back in a bit.
Okay.
You know.
Just sit really simple.
Mhm.
Cool.
Like, I don't know what's going on, but it's like, if I'm not here, let's not make her wonder what's going on.
Yep, exactly, because that might be important. Cool.
Mhm.
Okay, so Sonny opens the door then.
Yeah, and steps out in the hallway. Like, what is going on now?
The gates are down. Gaspard is gone.
The keep is lively.
He took Vander instead of me.
Why is Gaspard gone? Just talked about this earlier. Well, should we go take a look then?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Start skipping my way over to the keep.
Is Cass actually skipping?
It's raining, of course. It's lovely.
I mean, I love it. That's something I would do in the rain, so that makes me very happy to see that Cass is doing that. Awesome. So yeah, as you guys are walking / skipping towards the keep, everything that Half Pint said, you're able to witness yourself now, and just some other details. So the gate is closed. It doesn't seem like the guards are concerned about anything, though. You still see, two sets of guards walking around the perimeter of the upper walls. There is that side entrance. It's very brightly lit with one guard by it, and you even see some guards passing in and out of it. Very casual conversation, people trying to stay out of the rain. You do not see any guards near your assigned rooms. You don't see anybody near the stables or anywhere else, and you're just unimpeded as you walk up to the keep. And as it is pouring rain with thunder and lightning, specifically the lightning, lighting this place up, you're once again just reminded about how beautiful this keep is because it used to be a mansion, and it is kind of surreal to see guards here and them treating it like a barracks. So when you get up to the top, there is a set of large reddish oak doors, and they're open a crack, and you can hear loud voices talking inside. It just seems like they're having conversation. It doesn't seem like anybody's yelling or anything. And it sounds like there's a lot of activity. So, and you're going to get their first cast because skipping typically is faster than walking.
I'll wait for the others to catch up, but just kind of like listen at the door for a minute.
Okay. Give me a perception check, please. You'll hear something regardless, of course, but
19.
damn, Cass.
Not bad.
Okay. So you hear Kovita, and her voice kind of cuts in and out, but it's obviously that Kovita has a very distinct voice, and you hear her in the back. She sounds annoyed, tired, low energy. You hear guards murmuring, but you specifically hear a voice that you've never heard before carrying the conversation, and the name Narvala keeps being dropped by Kovita in regards to this individual talking. And as you sit there and you kind of wait for the splish splash of Sonny and Half Pint to catch up, you can pick out that whoever this is trying to like file a complaint and get the guards involved in something right now. So you've gathered that much by the time you hear Sonny and Half Pint kind of just slide up next to you. Ow.
Okay. So Kavita is talking to someone who's like trying to file a complaint or not in a nice mood, and they're talking about a Narvala person. Doesn't seem like our business.
Doesn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah.
Half-Pint just starts walking towards wherever you've pointed the noise out.
Half bite?
Yeah. yeah.
What's going on?
I don't like the sounds coming from there. I'm just gonna check it out.
So you're walking inside.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the doors are unlocked. They're already cracked. You can just push one of them open. They swing inwards. And then as you walk in, it is that weird feeling yet again that you're intruding in someone's life because there's still a crystal chandelier hanging up very high in this like 150-foot tall archway entrance to what is the guards' keep. And beyond like the chandelier and just the nice marble and materials, you can see this place is very lived in. The floors are very dirty immediately once you walk in, and a bit of a smell hits everybody of just rust and gruel and sweat, and this place is like very lived in. They try to keep it nice, but so you step into this giant archway kind of entryway, and then it spills out into like a grand, could be considered a ballroom almost. Everything has very polished marble, white and black marble throughout the entire thing. There's a double staircase going up, and then there's hallways going off to the sides. A lot of things have been, you can tell there used to be paintings on the wall where they were ripped down. There used to be tapestries that were ripped down and stuff like that. And there's much more practical things like large beat up tables with a lot of chairs. There's piles of books. There's an entire wall of mannequins that have armor in different states of repair on there. In the middle of the room, though, with some of the tables pushed together, is a selection of the guards. Some of the faces you recognize from just around the keep in the brief time there, or from your time in the city, and they look waterlogged, tired. Their helmets are off on the table. Some of them like cracked their breastplates or like slid them off so they can breathe a bit more. Kovita is sitting in the middle of the table. I guess it's not really the head of the table, the middle of the table. And Kovita has all her gray hair down, which is in a giant poof around her hair right now. And she is wearing pajamas. She does not have her crossbow, and she just has a really dark blue robe wrapped around herself and tied repeatedly, and looks incredibly annoyed. Standing opposite her, closer to you all, is the stranger, or at least the person that is being addressed as Narvala. She's 6'1", very slender build, but athletic. Seems human as far as you can tell from the back. She has long curly black hair that goes down just above her shoulders, and she's wearing overalls and like a really thick undershirt, and she has a lot of different types of like dirt and soot and grime on her, and she's pushed her sleeves up, and you can tell that the hands don't really match the outfit because she has very well manicured nails. Her skin is very smooth, doesn't really match what she's wearing right now, and her arms are pristine and don't have any dirt on them. And she is in the middle of a heated discussion with Kobita as you all walk in. The doors do make a bit of sound though, and they do hear your footsteps, and the whole room falls briefly quiet as Kobita just kind of leans to one side, and you get the gray poof of hair looking around the back of this lady at the three of you with a "what's up" look.
Have you seen Gaspard?
Yes, he went out into the city. He said he needed some time to think about things. He was right around the time we closed the gates.
Was he with Vander?
Yes. Wait, Vander is the
Arm boy.
punchy one, the
Yeah.
furball. Yes. They decided to take a walk in the rain, and we told them it was fine. As I mentioned, you are not being detained here or anything.
Cool. What's going on?
Anything we can help with? It sounds like there's a heated argument here, and we were just passing through.
Already, huh?
Yeah.
Already.
Sonic's like,
Sorry, Sonny, do you have a...
No, just
Okay.
it's just been an interesting week.
Hasn't it just though?
So, Kobita obviously is about to respond sarcastically or with some sort of witty remark, and you can see her even raise a finger as she goes. But the stranger spins around to regard you all, and whoever this Narvala is she's a very beautiful lady, probably in her early 30s, very exquisite cheekbones, is wearing very finely applied makeup, has deep, striking blue eyes, and just smiles with the smile that makes you instantly think of a con woman or a bard. Sorry, bards. At the group of you. And she kind of waves off the guards and Kobita as if she has the power to silence them, and seems excited that you all happen to step in at this exact moment. She goes, depending on what you're looking for, I might have something that I could use some help with because they're all busy right now.
I mean,
And Kobita just like defeatedly puts her head down and rolls her eyes and just slumps back in her chair.
I would rather go drink.
that's actually really tempting, and I mean, I'm in a very wet shirt right now. But is someone in danger? Listen, it's 2 a.m. Cass doesn't have a filter. Cass speaks in the third person at 2 a.m. too.
No, that's
When does
great.
Cass have a filter?
As Cass
Plenty of
says,
filters.
as Cass says that, you see like most of the guards shift and like give Cass a variety of looks, many of them appreciative, at that comment. And Kobita also like pops her head around and just like stares at you in the eyes of just like, what the hell is going on with you all? And so they just seem, amused by this interaction. Navarra, on the other hand, you can go drink if you'd like. There's been an accident, and while the Orishire Guard are technically not responsible for it, I am looking for someone to help me strike where the iron is hot, and you would be compensated. But if you are otherwise occupied, I will continue to argue with Miss Kobita here.
Can I insight check that? That feels weird.
You can, yeah, 100%. Can you give me what specific vibe, what you're looking for?
I'm specifically looking for the someone needs help part.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's sort of a ploy.
Okay. And what was the roll?
It was a 12.
Feels like whoever she is doesn't really have much empathy, but it seems truthful. Seems like she's, definitely kind of cold for some reason about it, but it doesn't seem like it's dishonest. And actually, because you're paying that much attention, give me an Arcana check, please.
16.
So, as you're kind of like trying to gauge this woman, two things stand out to you. The first one being that this is probably the first time in quite a while that you've seen somebody prominently wear a symbol of fade. And the symbol of fade is a kind of like, usually it's in pink and gray and like silver and stuff like that. And it's a little like arcane crystal that is carved into jewelry. This lady is wearing one of them around her neck pretty prominently, even like it stands out on top of the overalls. Fade, of course, is the goddess of magic, or the one that kind of claimed domain over magic in Decorah. And she's decently worshipped, but you don't tend to see the symbol out too often because it is typically kept to universities and places that magic users will study and, spend time together, and it's not usually worn on the street. So it's the first time you've seen that in a while. And you also see, the best way to describe it is you see glitter on her hands, but you know it's not glitter because Chromebeard and you spent a lot of time working with this substance, and it's crystallized ley. But it's very faint, but it produces a very specific opalescent sheen that you spent so much time with your dad mining the stuff for the rifles, let alone working with it. You're immediately like, oh, she's got ley on her hands, which is kind of getting rarer already because all the crystallized ley is gone now that Edwin was defeated. So there's not much of it left in the world probably, and you can't go mine it for the most part, because most of them turn back to actual ley lines, which are invisible and not mineable.
Okay.
So you notice all of that.
Oh my gosh. Are you also a follower of Fade?
The most excited you've probably seen Half-Pie in a while. She looks like you just slapped her in the face and looks down at the necklace and grabs it and looks back and, yes, I am. Are you?
Half-Pint Blue Flame?
Oh, she's making a friend.
That's really nice.
Lady Navara, pleasure to meet
Have you
you.
heard of the Blue Flames?
I have heard of the Blue Flames. Your father's research in ley actually inspired some of what we're doing here in Orishire.
Okay, all right. So that explains. Were you like out checking out some of the ley lines around here?
And
When
she
this
like
happened?
she shoots a look back at Kovita like, can I talk about this kind of thing? And Kovita just goes, at this point I'm not going to try and stop this runaway train. And she looks back to you and goes, no, I am part of a group that is contracted for projects for cities and typically governments. We make thunder steps, and we make thunder pads for thunder stepping, and we've been trying to establish one here in Orishire outside the city limits, so there's no liability, of course, Kovita. But we've been trying to establish one to increase trade and travel, and it's a goal to get more of them around the world.
That's
but
a great idea.
It is, but we've had a series of unfortunate deaths. And we just had another one tonight where a promising young wizard who was working on one of the runes, one of the main runes, a keystone rune, was disintegrated. Which, these are dangerous things to begin with. Their family will be compensated. But the ley is behaving very strangely outside of Orishire, and it shouldn't have disintegrated one of my crew members. So I was trying to get Miss Kovita and her guards to come take a look. It is technically outside their jurisdiction, and I should be talking to someone else.
You should be talking to me anyway, because this is what I study. So yeah, let's go look at the ley line. You guys good with that? Can I go do that? I mean, you don't have to come, but
Yeah, people are being killed at high rates, definitely.
I mean,
Sounds like dangerous work.
I wouldn't say high rates, but we've lost 4 now, counting this individual.
out of how many?
Well, the crew's 27, and we typically don't have people die when we build these. We've had people die. The amount of magic that you have to store in the keystones for Thunderpads is ridiculous, to say the least. And it's dangerous work, but it shouldn't have killed these innocent souls, and the way that the ley is behaving around here, makes me think that we should just give up on the project as much as the city and the council want this done.
Behaving
So.
how?
Have you ever cast a spell, if you cast spells, sorry to assume, but if you ever cast a spell and had it ripped from you instead of you being the one casting it? Think of all of a sudden if gravity was reversed on you and you were walking down a street. When you cast a spell, typically there's that bit of you controlling it and you pulling the lay. And a lot of times when we're casting spells, it feels more like the magic is being drawn violently from the caster.
Does that sound familiar to me?
Roll a history check.
What about also with casts?
You can roll a history check.
Natural 20 plus 5, so 25.
Dear God.
9.
So, yeah, nothing specific for Cass. But, yeah, so, does it remind you of something? Yes. It's a very specific textbook reference from when you were studying with Dr. Inkspot, and that's the one time you've heard of it. And it was specifically from the logs of somebody that was traveling around the perimeter of Treetop, and they found what they claimed to be a sliver of xiphoid and documented a ridiculous amount of effects like that. That was the number one on the list, is they felt like their magic was being drawn into it instead of it acting as a source of magic. They also talked about how particles of dirt hung in the air around it, and when insects came towards it, they also were kind of like suspended in the air. So,
Spread some force field. Okay.
but it was never corroborated. It was only one person, and it was kind of, just an extra note in class. So,
Okay. Yeah, so I think this is something that was happening around Treetop a really long time ago.
I haven't heard anything about that, but this wasn't my primary area of study.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, and we're responsible for a lot of the different thunder pads around the world that are used by the majority of the population today.
That's so cool.
It's interesting work, to say the least. It pays very well.
Have you traveled by Thunderpad before?
I mean, we all did that one time.
Yeah.
You guys haven't. Eggver used a rune to teleport you, but you didn't go to one of the giant installations
pads,
outside the cities to thunder step to a different place.
I absolutely would have, right?
You've gone on it tons.
Yeah, have you not?
No.
I don't think Sonny would have. Because
Nope.
Sonny didn't grow up anywhere near them. So
Nope. She did not.
It's like it's kind of like the rune thing, just a little bit different that Agvar used on us.
it's a rune system the size of a few city blocks.
I have a friend who operates one, but
Oh, so you're
have-
familiar with it then.
I mean, yes, I just haven't really seen it. I mean, I've seen them and I've never used them, but seems really cool.
Well, I would love to show it to you. If I assume if you're here, you're not prisoners. Now that I realize where I'm standing again, and Kobe did you hear the faintest snort from this old lady in the back. Hey, you were just going to ask random people that walked into my keep to help you, and you didn't even vet them. Yes, they are not prisoners. They can be trusted if you want to. If you want to help her, I assumed you would all be very tired from your day, but.
I mean, like I said, I'd rather go drink, but it sounds like I can also look at Leyline, which is almost as good. So,
And
Well-
we could drink afterwards.
We will inform Vandar and Gaspard when they return of where you are, if you would like to go. Actually, where is Matilda?
She's asleep.
Jeffrey, please make sure there's guard out there. And one of the guys grunts and stands up and readjusts the breastplate, grabs his helmet off the table, and starts sullenly walking out. If Lady Navala is taking you all, then I can vouch for her. I can vouch for you all if you want to go. But even though this is an Orishire project, the city is not responsible for it. So as much as I do want to help, I cannot deploy the guards outside of the city.
okay.
If you're comfortable going by yourself, I'm just saying that I wish I could help you and I cannot.
I mean, your guards weren't really helpful with the hag anyway, so I think this will be fine.
They were doing plenty elsewhere.
You do know, 8 of them died fighting the hag's accomplices outside. and we killed the rest. We killed all of the followers. They could.
Half pint? Not right now.
Okay.
Regardless, if you'd like to go, we will let your companions know where you are if they happen to come back before you do.
No, don't you dare tell Gaspard where I went.
I'm sorry?
Don't you tell Gaspard where I went.
Oh, all right. I thought you would.
No.
It was just a service.
We don't want to worry them.
Oh, fine. We'll stand guard then. As I said, you can come and go as you please. I very much am not an adventurer anymore, and I need my sleep. And she stands up and adjusts her robes. I will be in bed unless the city is on fire or there is another hag. I will see you all in the morning. Hopefully we will have some word from the council then on everything we were talking about. But until then, good luck and good night. And
night.
Kavita turns and walks away. And the guards kind of take that as their sign of like, oh, okay, the boss is gone, we better get back to work. And everybody starts getting back up and grabbing their helmets and shaking the water out and adjusting their armor and kind of dispersing, leaving you, I mean, there's still guards around, but leaving you mostly with the stranger that you have now met. And as everybody breaks up, Lady Nervala looks at all of you. Are you sure that you all want to do this? You seem somewhat split. I mean, I cannot wait to hear your notes and see what you think of this, but you two don't have to come. This is a volunteer effort, I suppose, at this point?
I'm a little curious, I'll admit.
All right.
Down for this.
All right, then. Well, come with me. I have a horse and carriage outside, and it will only take us 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get to the construction site.
All right.
Okay. Well, then Lady Narvala leads you all out the keep, down the stairs, and over to the stables, where inside the stables, blocked from view when you were walking out originally, there is a very simple looking carriage. It is covered. At one time, perhaps it was one of the Haven Snout carriages, but it's been heavily used, and it's covered from the elements is the best thing you can say for it. And there's a tired individual sitting there with the reins in his hands, middle-aged man, definitely human, really scraggly beard, kind of like sandy blonde hair, and it just looks tired. And he just kind of nods at Narvala, and she walks over and opens the door for the carriage for you all.
Are there other horses in here, or is it just the horses?
Oh no,
attached
it's
to
this. They like parked this thing inside and just to get it out of the rain, kind of thing. But no, it is loaded with horses. It's a very large stable. They have at least 25 horses in here right now, with room for more that are probably out being used by the guard.
I want to find the biggest horse and ask if I can ride it.
The biggest horse.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm very large.
I mean, you are. No, yeah. But biggest horse. Okay. Okay.
That pint just wants to ride a pony.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes, the Shetland. So you walk around for a moment, and it's easy to spot the largest horse when they're all in pens, and they all have like very worn nameplates on the front, but they seem like they've been changed out, and it's hopefully accurate. And you see one that is named Fastfire, and there are guards around too if you want to ask somebody. So
I just start trying to like gear up this horse to get on it.
make an animal handling check.
Can I do it with advantage because of my experience established with ponies?
Yes. Very, very well played, Halfpint.
14.
Okay, so yeah, it's actually not that hard, primarily because of your experience, but like all the equipment for each horse is on hooks in their stall, so it's very well laid out, so the guards can most likely, get this all taken care of at a moment's notice and head
Did you
out
ask
en
her
masse.
What is she doing over there?
She has to ride a horse.
Did anybody actually say yes, or did she just say she wanted to ride a horse?
I don't think anyone's gonna argue with that point. And if it sparks joy, don't rain on Half Pint's joy, Sonny.
There's a boom and rolling thunder outside in the rainstorm.
So a carriage would be nice.
Yes, that is sort of my thinking as well.
Yeah. So you should like water.
Hmm?
But don't you like water?
I don't like thunder very much.
Oh yeah,
It's a slightly different thing.
but it's so fun and electrical.
So I take it, Sonny and Cass get in the carriage then?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you two are stepping in, you do see guards making eye contact with what Half Pint's doing, and for one reason or another, they're not intervening. And like you specifically, Cass, you see like one of them go and just turns and walks away. Like they're yes.
I just like do a quick detour on my way to the carriage and be like, she's gonna die soon. Just let her enjoy this.
Damn. The guard you speak to, which was the one that made that motion, just like looks at you with horrified eyes, and he goes, "I was thinking, just she's a hero of Orshire at the moment, and I was going to not say anything because it's a horse, but I mean that's horrific, and sure,
Is this guard a human?
yes."
I mean, no more than like you are as well, probably. So
Oh,
like, sorry,
I
it's all
see.
good. Yeah,
It's
just-
it's an elf thing, isn't it? We're all short-lived and that shit.
I mean, yes, but it makes your time more meaningful. Have a great night. Thank you.
Oh my god, yes.
Sony falls off. It's like, don't worry, she's almost 100 and just figured out she can like girls tonight. And keeps going.
This guard's face, if I could like perfectly summon this guard's face for stream and these players right now of just the mix of confusion and I have questions and you just leave this guard standing there like flummoxed is the best word, frozen, just like as you get into the carriage. So once you get in, Lady Narvala doesn't step in and just kind of looks through the door at you both, glances over at Half Pint, shrugs, looks back to you two. I'm going to be up with my driver. We, as I said, 15, 20 minutes. Just take the time to yourselves. And she's going to close the door and climb up and get ready to go. And you can easily get the horse. At this point, the horse is saddled and seems very excited. This horse that you chose, of course, was the largest. It does seem like one of the older horses, though, just based on like the color of the fur and like the way the
they go
kind of
together.
slightly milky aspect to the eyes. But they seem full of spirit, and they have like spotted red and white fur. So you can get him saddled, hop on up, and by the time the carriage is ready to go, so are you on the horse.
Before we take off, I'm gonna trot on up to Narvala.
Yeah, and she's sitting there at the top of her driver, and she just kind of looks over at you with a sense of like wonder.
I'm gonna meet you there. How do I get there? Just quick directions.
Well, if you head east and take the east gate out of the city and then just stay on the main road, you'll see the giant construction project.
Beautiful. I take off.
Okay. Yeah, you don't need to make any checks for that or anything. All right. So, you both hear this conversation. You hear Half Pint depart with the clattering of hooves, and then moments later, the carriage springs into motion, which gets you to the gate really quickly. They do have to open the gate, though. Half Pint's able to go through one of the side gates. Takes a couple extra minutes, but shortly you are on your way in a carriage, which is probably not how you intended your night to go. The carriage on the inside is bare bones. You are completely protected from the rain. It looks like they've tried to strap down different styles of cushions over time to this carriage, and it's, it's okay. There's no light on the inside, just what trickles in through the windows on a stormy night, and Cass and Sonny are sitting there. So, what are you going to do with your short ride together?
I'm just like wringing the water out of myself.
You know it's just going to get damp again as soon as we get there, right?
It's the principle of the matter, and it would be nice to not be drippy. I mean, damp, but it's very different. Yeah. Half-Pint's surprisingly good on a horse.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, I would have figured gnomes, ponies. But yeah, good.
I just thought she seemed a kind of sheltered to be somebody who is good with horses.
I mean, noble people tend to have such hobbies and interests.
If you say so, I don't really know.
I mean,
We don't really have horses in my village.
Really? I thought horses were kind of like everywhere.
It's a small island and it's very cold.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. What kind of animals do you have in your home?
Mm, I mean, people have like dogs and cats. There are these birds that jump in the water, like they swim.
That's wild.
Does Sony have, quick question for the DM, audience, players, everything, because I was thinking about this before we started tonight, and it's very appropriate for the scene right now. Unless said otherwise, is Heta usually out or not?
Usually, like in the bottle.
In the bottle, but
Mhm.
that's hanging from Sani's belt, right? So like Heta can see people and people can see Heta, but Heta's in the bottle.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify because you're talking about like wildlife and animals and stuff like that. So thank you.
And I mean, the oceans are right there. You can always find fish and seals, things like that.
I've heard of seals. I might have seen a seal once. But we had a lot of griffins, and I got to work with the little baby griffins in the nursery in my hometown. They were really sweet and cute.
I don't think I've seen a griffin yet. I've read about them.
Well, if we go to Treetop and we go to, Aspen Oak Village, I'll have to show you the griffins.
Oh, is that your village?
Yeah.
It's good to know. Maybe we'll stop there whenever we drop off that seedling.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not doing anything, so like, fine, I think. No one better try and steal that.
Not in a particular rush.
Not especially.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'd like to see these swimming birds at some point. That would be cool too.
Yeah, maybe we will go at some point.
Mm-hmm.
The entire reason I took the horse was to keep an eye out for Gaspard. I forgot to mention this.
Oh, that is key. That is definitely key.
Sorry.
That does not surprise me in the slightest.
No, it doesn't surprise me in the slightest either. Oh shit. So as my hair gets stuck in my glasses. So this makes me think, as I'm trying to calculate how fast you'll get out of the city on a horse, because welcome to Dungeons and Dragons and the things that we have to think about that we never thought we'd think about. Give me 2 perception checks on the way out of the city.
Okay.
And wait, are you taking the direct path to the East Gate? Or are
Yes,
you gonna...
I'm gonna take the direct path.
Okay. 2 perception checks in the city of Orishire.
2 4s in a row.
Oh no.
So plus 5 9.
Oh no, that's not bad. Okay.
Maybe it is
So-
raining
Yeah.
and dark.
Yeah, it's raining and dark, except on the main street that connects to the gate. And you notice that there is more than what you might think for a storm going on this late at night. There's just a lot of lights, and it looks like a lot of the taverns are still open, and you hear like a lot of music, you hear a lot of, voices. There's a lot of people that are coming in and out to get out of the rain. Gaspard could be in one of them, but you don't like hear Gaspard's voice. Nothing really seems to scream like, yes, that's obviously Gaspard making a scene.
I note that he may have gone drinking with Vander without me, and then I just haul butt to where she told me to go.
If Gaspard is watching the stream right now, he's like, what's the DM doing to my character? Don't worry about it. It's all good here.
It's fine.
It's fine. So yeah, then you make it out through the gates, and once you're out through the main gates, it gets dark pretty fast. But there's still, a bit of starlight and moonlight coming in through the clouds, and within 10 minutes on horseback, you're able to make out the construction site, because as you kind of just crest a hill on this very well worn main road, in a large field is the construction site. And the first thing that you notice is just the sparking white glimmer in the distance of the ley magic. And you can see there's about 15 different types of wagons in different states of unloading materials. There is one of the giant kind of like rune spikes that they use on these things tilted to the side like it's not fully installed yet. And so a thunder pad is the main way of transporting people around the world of Akora. And they're typically You typically have at least one on every continent at this point, some more than others. They connect to each other in a network, and they're typically used to transport large groups of people. So it's not one person gets to use one of these things. It's they have a trip per day through them, and they send hundreds of people, if not more, at the same time. But it allows instantaneous, incredibly safe travel to different parts of the world. And there is not one on Orishire or really this side of this continent currently. What they look like is when they're fully constructed, it's barely raised out of the ground, kind of reddish brown stone in a concentric pattern of runes that just makes a massive circle. And there are 6 kind of spiked rune pieces all around that is about 20 feet tall that are covered in runes. And there's typically housing nearby for the small group of individuals that run these things. So they're usually contracted people, they're usually mages. So this one, the circle's been completed. Only one rune tower is up. One's in the middle of getting up, and the other ones are nowhere to be found. And it looks like it's pretty busy right now. There's all sorts of dancing lights and orbs and torches, and the whole area is lit up so far that, as soon as you crest the hill, it's like, oh god, that's obviously the construction site. So you make a quick time there. And you're still just in a beeline down there?
Yeah, still just beelining it.
Okay, cool. Cass, Sonny, perception checks while you're in your carriage ride, and you'll be there shortly.
7.
5.
Dear God. So yeah,
We're
you're just
inside.
Yeah.
yeah, no, you're inside. The light's low. You're both tired. There's plenty of reasons. So nothing particular stands out at this moment. Was there any other conversation that either of you wanted to have during the carriage ride?
Well, Cass, is there?
No, Cass is just like really inspecting the blade on her battle axe. That's
You
just
alright?
really interesting. Oh, I'm fine. Why would I not be?
It's been a strange few days, like we've been talking about.
It has been, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we were at a party.
Yes.
And, like, I met you, and that was really cool. But then we're, like, poisoned, and then we're trying to get a job, and suddenly we're fleeing across the continent, and then there's a hag, and... Wow.
Feels like it has not really slowed down at all, has it?
No. I mean, this last day's been pretty...
Other than the stone.
I mean, by comparison, that seemed mild. Besides all those dead bodies.
Yeah, it was not pleasant.
No. How are you doing?
Better.
It's good. Hopefully we can help Gaspard find Giovanni.
That'll
Oh, my
be very
areas that should be able to know
interesting.
Giovanni in the carriage.
That'll probably be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he was a really nice person.
Yes, I was not expecting to run into him again.
Well, sometimes fate collides. Like, we all walked into a bar, and suddenly we're all traveling together with life-changing adventures.
Does seem to work that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope we all stick together and travel together.
Yeah, it's preferable to traveling by myself less.
Yeah.
Besides, sometimes I think fate has a better idea of what's going on than we do.
Yeah.
I'm not really eager to argue with it right at the moment.
Yeah, though sometimes fate is a bitch.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But... Yeah, no, things are good, and like we've all found each other, and you met Matilda, and it's really overall good. Besides the couple of near-death experiences.
Ugh, tell me about it. Ugh.
And now we get to see a leopard pad.
I am curious to see one. I have not yet.
As you say that, the light of the construction site starts to wash through the carriage as you make your way up and over the same hill that Half Pint recently passed over. And the entire interior of the carriage is now very clearly being able to be seen. And looking out any of the windows, you can see the construction site. So you get a pretty nice bird's eye view at the top of this hill that leads down to the valley where they're building this. For reference, Lady Navala is correct. It's a couple city blocks. Kind of the best way to describe how big it is, the way that I originally described these is there are 4 football fields across. So either measurement is how big the construction site is.
American or UK football?
American. I should have converted it to some other measurement, but So, and within minutes, Cass and Sonny find themselves at the base camp of the construction site, and your carriage will come to a stop. Navala is going to hop off the seat at the top and then walk down and open the door. She is completely soaked, overalls like clinging to her body with the thick cloth, and she just has a very neutral, if pleasant expression on her face and doesn't seem bothered by it. And gestures for you both to come out, and we're here, come take a look. And Half Pint, you got here about 5 minutes before them. So before they step out, you would have, been able to see the main kind of off branch of the road that they'd be using as a supply route. So you would have been able to get down to the same spot that they're going to be in about 5 minutes. But what's Half Pint doing in those 5 minutes?
I think. Are there any gnomes around? Like running things?
Of course.
They're the only trustworthy people I know. Okay.
You're very sketch, Sonny.
Roll perception.
23.
God damn it.
That Pint knows her gnome.
So, as you get to base camp, probably like 30 seconds or so before you actually stop, you're going to start, going through the area where there's active, people milling about, moving supplies, stuff like that. So you get a really good, look at the people that are currently at the construction site that are working. And you do spot one gnome. And the gnome in question is incredibly waterlogged, like everyone else. She has what probably is bright pinkish hair that is just very matted with the rain and the mud, and it's stuck to her face. And she has a pair of very worn goggles around her neck. And she just looks really tired. And she's off to a side, and she's actually working on a whole bunch of interlocking runes that look like they're going to eventually be one of the spikes. So.
Okay. Were you here when the person was zapped out of existence? I don't even greet her.
You just go for it. Oh, okay. So she starts, and because she has in her hands, they look like wands, but you actually recognize them as rune carver's tools, and they're charged right now. So she jerks up from the rune and just stares at you for a moment and goes, "What? Say that again, please."
Navala, she sent us, and apparently someone.
Oh, are you from the city guard?
No.
Oh.
I'm a hero of Warshire, and this is my new horse.
Oh,
Just claiming the horse.
okay. So yes, we were all here when they were zapped out of existence.
Okay, what happened? Can you describe it?
She kind of takes the rune carver's tools and aims them up to the side and goes like that, and you see little green sparks shoot out from them, and they deactivate, and she drops them, just drops them on the runes, and turns around to give you her full attention. It was a normal evening. We are working on charging the rune spikes right now and doing some of the final engravings. They were working on, well, not this one, but points over in the distance at a pile of tents. They were working on another one over there, and it's pretty straightforward rune carving. They're not even technically charged yet by anything except the rune carver's tools. We hear a yell, and then all of a sudden, we see a massive flash of white light, and by the time any of us get there, we see him slowly melting away with arcane energy eating at his body.
And that was one of many people who've had that done it before?
Well, yeah, if you know the lady, I'm sure you have permission to know this kind of stuff. Yes, it was number 4, not specifically with this, but we've had 4 deaths total now on this cursed construction site.
So is it, have they all disappeared from the same area, or is it just different random spots around the thunder pad?
I mean, they're just random. It's not, if you're looking for like correlating data, there really isn't any here for the most part. It's just random happenstance that they seem to be dying and we don't know why. The best running theory that most of us have now is that there is some sort of snarl happening in the ley line or some other kind of oddity that is making magic behave erratically. And there's really no way to predict it. So most of us have taken the vote and we're trying to get it shut down because I don't think there should be Thunderpad here, because even if you get it up and you test it and you make sure it's stable, it's probably one of the safest things ever invented, but it still could malfunction. And we don't want that to happen, of course. So on a mass scale.
Okay, does she have any symbols of fate on her, or is she just an angry gnome?
Her goggles actually have a symbol of fate on either side. And there's also, you're standing in front of her, so the symbols of fate are on the goggles that are hanging down around her neck. And now that you can get a better look at her outfit, she kind of has like a jacket on, like a leather jacket. And there's 2 wrenches with a cog around them and a horse. And you know that symbol, and it's the Light Mix family. And they weren't competitors with the Blue Flames or anything, but they were a group of gnomes that were from Alsap originally, and they had a hand in a lot of early tests of gunpowder and different weapons of warfare and stuff like that. They were always very well regarded by your family for the most part, but Symbols of Fade, Light Mix family.
Oh my gosh, are you from the Light Mix family?
Yeah.
Do you know Mummy?
I don't know someone named. I have a mom.
Blue Flame family. I'm half pint.
Oh, well, nice to meet you. You Cardia?
Yeah, that's Mummy.
Oh, well, yes, I know of Cardia. Eerie Light Mix is my name. I know of her. Who doesn't know of Cardia Blue Flame at this point? But especially because of your family's work on the arcane rifle and everything that's been leaking out on the news recently about that. Yes, I've known of you for a long time, and now you're really in the news, so of course I know. Yes.
We're in the news?
Well, I mean, it's being reported on that there was a shipment lost of the arcane rifles, and nobody really knows where they went now that they're in the hands of probably unscrupulous individuals. What does that mean for the world, and who's going to randomly show up with one of these things in a city and, attack somebody? So yes, that piece is in the news. Not to mention the fact now that it's kind of like, what's that? The cat's out of the bag that there are these kind of weapons in Akora. So some of the governments are a little scared, it sounds like, and trying to come up with countermeasures, kind of like they did back when gunpowder did the rounds around the planet. Pine's just doing the pop, pop.
Okay, that's a lot of information, and I don't really know how to handle that.
Sorry, just that I haven't got to talk to anybody about just non-work things in a little while, so it just kind of came out. But your family's great, and I think the arcane rifle is. You don't have one with you, do you, by chance?
Not with me.
I want to get my hands on one to look at it.
Maybe at some point I can do that for you. If Mummy doesn't kill me.
So wait, why are you? Wait, did they call in? Are you telling me that Lady Narval called in Blue Flame assistance on this already? How did you get here?
No, I was already here I dealt with a hag over and don't worry about it. What I need to worry about now is figuring out what's going on with this ley line. Have you guys done anything? Have you tried to communicate with Fade or anything?
Well, I mean, of course, everyone's prayed to Fade. There was a formal offering made and stuff like that, but Fade, she's unpredictable, and no, nobody's heard from Fade in this manner, and we've been running tests nonstop the entire time, trying to gauge the flow of the ley, and everything comes out normal every time we run a test. So it looks like magic's flowing normally in the area, and every time I charge up test runes, they load perfectly. And I have no idea. So I really think it's just a phenomenon, one of those random things in nature of just don't practice magic in this immediate area and let it be.
There's always an explanation, though. I'm going to start walking towards the ley.
Okay. So she's going to actually, as she already tossed her tools out, she's going to, kind of follow along with you as long as you don't, take off on the horse kind of thing. Still riding, or did you get down?
I got down to talk to her.
Okay.
There's no way I'm going to sit at, 7 feet
Well,
plus 6 above this gnome.
I figured, just double check it. So yeah, you can start walking into the construction site. So because you've traveled so much, you know the most about these out of anybody that's currently in the party. And if you're going towards the ley, you'd probably be going towards the spike that's kind of on its side, because they try to center that on like the natural path of a ley line, just to give it the most possible power. So you can start walking that way with, you still have the horse with you too, right? Yep. Okay, cool. And I'm going to say that's about the time that Half Pint and Sonny get there.
Or
And
Cass,
get
yeah.
say what?
Cass and Sonny.
Or Cass and Sonny, yes. Cass and Sonny. Cass and Sonny get there and get out of the carriage. And you can see Half Pint immediately in the distance. Hard to miss, especially with the horse, with this waterlogged gnome with the pinkish hair walking beside her.
Oh, she's
And-
already doing things.
I mean,
Who
she
is-
found a gnome. She's in good hands.
Oh, your friend?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they might be onto something already. I have to attend to some matters. I will catch up with you soon if you wanted to go with them. So, unless you have questions for me, which I'm sure you do.
Is there any reason someone wouldn't want this thunder pad here and might be trying to sabotage it in some way?
I would be incredibly impressed if someone could sabotage arcane spellwork on this scale. I'd love to meet them and see how they're doing it. Obviously, there's a multitude of individuals that wouldn't want a thunderpad in this area because the shipping industry in Orishire is so profitable. There's no thunderpad for hundreds of miles. The only way to get supplies here is going to be through ship, and I suppose over land still, even though it's a port city, so any of the mercantile guilds, individuals that run different companies, I'm sure there's lots of vested interest to not channel all the business through a thunderpad. You, of course, are aware that we charge fees for any kind of goods that come through, so they could bypass it, but not to the point of sabotaging something that could destroy the lives of hundreds of people if something went wrong during a teleportation, I assume.
I mean, there was a bakery in town that was serving gold dust to people, so like you'd be surprised.
Serving what?
Don't worry about it. Let's go find Half Pint. Well, let's go talk to Half Pint, see what she's learned.
Yes, let's
If you
make
can
sure she's not
just-
by herself.
Well, does. If you can just look around and see if anything seems out of place to you, talk to some of the crew. I just need a set of eyes that is not the crew at this point. That's why I went to Covita. There's going to be a lot of questions about these deaths, and I need a neutral as possible third party to do a bit of an investigation. Talk to my crew, ask any questions that you want, feel free to poke around the site, be careful, and then I'll meet up with you soon and we'll talk.
I put my hand on her shoulder. Your project is in good hands.
Do your hands have ghoul dust on them? That's the question I now have.
No, no, that was yeah.
All right,
And she's washed her hands since.
I'm sure in the rain, and I'll meet up with you in about an hour. And she turns and walks towards just a set of tents, nothing special about them, but she just kind of shakes her head as she walks off, probably wondering if she's made a bad mistake with picking you to come help with this. But you can still see Half Pint in the distance because now it's all very flat. There's tents off to one side, there's the wagons, and then there's the construction site. So what you gonna do?
Go talk to Half Pint.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sonny's gonna just head straight for where Half
Okay,
Pint is.
cool. Well, in the next, it only takes y'all like a minute or two to get there and to catch up, and Half Pint is just, walking right now. You can easily catch up. You all arrive at this tilted spike that has a couple people working around it, but you're going to run into Half Pint and the gnome next to her first. So, and you hear them coming a mile away. So,
There you are.
You're very loud.
We were not trying to be sneaky.
I mean, I'm not even wearing chainmail, and I should be significantly quieter.
This woman knows Mummy.
Hello,
Good to meet you. I'm Cass.
Sonny.
you are wearing what right now?
I'm just wearing like normal traveler's clothes.
Okay, but you have the battle axe.
I do.
Are you still wearing the same dress from before?
I mean,
assume that's the only thing.
Don't
you
really have anything to change into just yet, so.
Okay. So the gnome spins around as you walk up and have introductions and looks overwhelmed for a brief moment and then goes for both the handshakes. Erie Lightmix, are you friends with the Blue Flame?
Yes.
Half pint, yes.
Oh, well, welcome. We were just talking lay, and I think they're trying to help us take a look. So,
What have you found out so far?
They're all disappearing from different places around the lay, and it sounds like everything looks good up until somebody tries anything, and then they just explode.
random things too, not the same thing. That's the weird part.
Yeah.
Huh. That is strange.
Yeah, they said that they tried praying to Fade, which would make sense, but you know how Fade is, so.
Not,
we are.
not particularly.
Maybe.
Inconsistent. We'll say Fade is
That's
inconsistent.
the kind way of putting it. Yeah,
Yes.
inconsistent like magic is in some places. I think it's just cursed. I think this place is cursed. You shouldn't practice magic here. We should just pack up. It's going to be a giant loss with how much infrastructure has already been sunk into this land. But then you don't get things like people being disintegrated like poor Sinar. But if you want to have a look, I mean, Blue Flames more than anyone know this kind of thing. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to. You said there was crystallized powder on what's her face's hand. Can I see any of the crystallized lay around here?
No, and you're pretty sure it would stand out. So what you see is this spike. This is a fully formed spike on its side. The spikes are about 25, 30 feet tall when they're upright, and they just have incredibly detailed runes on all the different facets of them of a multitude of colors. You don't see any of the lay crystalline like shards right now. It seems like while it's on its side, they're working on a crystal coming out of the bottom of it. It's not a lay crystal, but there's some kind of a crystal, and there's two men over there. Both look like they're humans, and they're just kind of talking. One of them's casting like low-level magic at it.
Okay. I'm gonna look at the gnome lady and I'm gonna say, where is the ley line approximately around here?
Technically, they're standing on it right now because that's where we're driving the carrier crystal into.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go over there. Just like near the dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just kind of look up and like give you a weird look of like, we don't recognize you, but then they see Erie there and they're just like, and they just keep doing whatever they're doing.
I start digging to see if I can find any of the crystal.
Wait, what are you digging with?
I am digging with like, I know actually, I think I have a shovel. Hold on.
It wouldn't surprise me if you do have a shovel.
Maybe go to them so I can look for my
Yeah,
inventory.
what are you doing while this is happening?
I'm gonna be going in like kind of a circle-ish area to see if there's any like rune stones placed that seem to have like an evil nature to them. That's
Okay.
like corruption.
Okay, Sani.
I mean, Sana's not terribly familiar with thunderpads in general, so I think she's just kind of asking like lots of questions of like Erie or anyone else who walks over and wants to be helpful. But like, how is this supposed to work? What's it supposed to look like?
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Cass, do a Arcana check and just a general. Actually, give me two. So give me an Arcana check and a Perception check.
Arcana is 15
Okay.
and perception is 16.
All right. So as we'll follow you first. So as you do the loops around this on its side spike, you were familiar with thunderpads. You live very close to one. You knew someone that worked at one. So in a way, you kind of know what they should look like. And so far, everything looks pretty standard. And you see brief little flickers and torrents of energy dancing through the runes that have already been carved on this thing. And because it's fully carved, they're just working on getting it upright. And it actually makes you smile, most likely, because the energy that you can kind of feel in the area and the sights, it reminds you of home in the best way possible, because they all look the same for the most part because they're designed by the same group of people. And you don't see anything that feels evil or off as you're going around. If anything, Cass would feel kind of a bit of a connection to the Xiphoid more than normal, just because of like the raw energy that's dumped into these. Typically, to enchant one side of a spike is like a 7-month process. So a lot of people, a lot of hands, a lot of spells to get this thing charged to the point where it doesn't ever really need to be recharged. And yeah, so hopefully it would be interpreted as mostly happy feelings as you go around, and nothing seems out of place so far.
Having worked with the Xiphoid clan,
Yeah.
do I know of anything that would interfere with a ley line? And like, as the gnome said, be like, do not work in this general area of Leyline.
So, yes, you do. And we're gonna do it. We're gonna do this with 2 different layers of information. So, ley lines. You have a lot of knowledge about just general ley lines. The Xiphoid clan, they're not really religious about the Xiphoid. They're almost like scientific about it, and they have written a lot of like documentation and research and even stories about the Xiphoid and how the ley lines spider out through the planet. But it's always like very technical. It's not like they worship it or anything. And you do remember a lot of talk actually of ways to interfere with it. It's really hard. It doesn't happen too often, but they've documented either weird areas of nature where things don't seem to pan out as you would expect, but more specifically ways to interfere with them in case of an enemy that you're trying to disrupt their ability to cast magic. So you know that on a base level. Give me a history check really quick though, and let's see how much you remember like beyond that, if anything.
5.
You remember something. The main thing that comes to mind is a fuzzy like, oh god, it's on the tip of my tongue. There was totally something about, and you just remember jagged pieces of metal being driven into the ground, and that was it. So you're thinking about this as you walk around. Erie's more than happy to talk your ear off about it, and she will stand there until other things happen, pretty much happily telling Sonny how Thunderpads work and the whole Thunderstep process through Thunderpads. So whatever question Sonny has will be answered. Did you have specific ones you wanted Erie to answer, or?
I think it's more Sonny's trying to get like just that. What are the basic fundamentals here? Because
Okay.
she knows magic. She just doesn't know this magic or this particular school of runes they're using. So
Okay.
she's trying to get an idea of like, what is this supposed to be doing? And then I can probably try to feel a few things out from there.
Okay, so the main facts that Erie would talk about then, spelling them out quicker than the gnome's going to say them, as much as I love Erie's voice, is that, so the way that Thunderpads work is they have to be on the same ley line, which makes them placed oddly around the world for the most part. And there's a way of mapping ley lines that is very painful, very slow, and has taken like hundreds of years at this point. But if you have a ley line that crosses between 2 continents, you can smack an installation on one point, smack an installation on the other point, and by putting these charged spikes in the ground, you can very briefly establish contact with the other set of spikes, and then it's kind of almost easy to transfer large amounts of people through the ley line. So instead of a teleportation spell where you like rip the fabric of space and time, or you destroy something and reassemble it, people literally like ride the ley line in a way. They don't feel it. It feels like a teleportation spell and you just pop up on the other side. But the thing that like gets Erie's eyes glowing is talking about how the first one of these was a crazy experiment, and when they found out that you could slingshot people for the most part through a ley line, it was an amazing discovery. So she'll give Sonny all the details about that, but those are like the key pieces to know about how a Thunderpad works. So,
Okay.
yeah, and she explains that when it goes off, it's a massive boom, so hence the name. Yeah, so then you get back to Sonny about that time, and you are digging with what?
My shields, because I don't have a shovel. Yeah.
Strength check? You'll get digging done regardless of whatever it is, but
4.
okay. So you dig in and you start digging, and the ground is wet, so you start making some progress. And eventually one of the guys turns around and just like fixates on you and just like, what the hell are you doing kind of expression. And he goes, did you need some help
Do
with?
you have a shovel?
We have lots of shovels. Why are you part of the crew? Did you just get
Yes,
hired?
I'm part of the crew. Can you get me a shovel?
We don't need more digging here. This is already cut out for the crystal.
Just get me a shovel.
I don't get paid enough. And he walks over. He walks over by. He climbs out of like the little divot where it's supposed to fall into eventually. Throws a tarp off a pile of equipment, grabs a shovel, and tosses it at you.
Okay, I grab that and use that to dig now.
Okay. So the digging's going to be going much faster now, and you're gonna. We'll get to you in a second because you're going to start tearing through the ground. But as Half Pint is actually armed against this now, you two are synced back up. Anything going on?
Okay, I think I sort of understand how this works now.
That's good. Half pint.
What is she doing over there?
I mean, clearly she's digging. which is actually a fantastic idea. Half pint. I was a shit student, but I think you can fill in the gaps where I did not study this properly enough. There's something about like jagged pieces of metal that can like throw off or corrupt ley lines. Do you know what this is, and should we be looking for jagged pieces of metal?
That's a really good question. Do I recognize that?
It's one of those things where at first, fuck no. Like, it seems absurd what Cass is saying, but if you chew on it for a second, what you do, you kind of see where they might be coming from, because when Chromebeard and Cardia were working on these weapons with you as well, they did what anybody does when you're developing something that could be turned against you one day, and they tried to work on how to counter the rifles. And the best that your dad had come up with was a shield. You couldn't turn it into armor yet. You couldn't do anything other than it's a big tower shield, but it could block the shots from the gun. And the secret was just the ore that he used. He used a very simple enchantment, and he found an ore that would disperse the bullet when it hit of the crystallized lay.
Is that similar to the ore around Tallwinds?
Maybe. Maybe we have realized this, or it is linked, popped together in your mind.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, that does, you know the stuff that was around Tallwinds?
Yes, the
Oh.
dust.
The dust.
Uh-huh.
That dust is made of just a special ore, so maybe they were making like special shields out of ore and then driving those into the ground?
What, do
Maybe.
you know what kind of ore?
Do I know what kind of ore? Blue ore.
It's Delma Clarkite
Delma Clarkite.
is the name of it, yes.
Okay.
But
It's Delma Clarkite.
it's usually just called Delma.
Okay.
Delma ore, but the full name is actually Delma's plural Clarkite. Delma's Clarkite. Clarkite. Just call it Delma for my sake.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that has something to, I don't know, it's really weird because Telvin definitely had this stuff on the ground around his house. And Papa put together a really nice experiment where we were able to create kind of a shield out of that ore. So maybe there's just a lot of that ore in this region? No, lady.
Yes.
Is there a lot of Delmas
Lightnings.
Clarkite in the area?
Delma's Clarkite?
Yeah.
We don't really conduct surveys of the nearby minerals because nothing's going to interfere with this because it's ley-based, not ore-based, ground-based. You know what I mean? I don't know if Delma's Clarkite is out here. It's usually in Allsap. Most deposits are found in Allsap. It'd be really weird to find the spot. Maybe, though.
Do you know how to find it?
Not off the top of my head because that's not my area of study. But if you ask Navala, or I'm sure we can put our heads together and try and find out a way to find out if it's here. That's actually a stumper. I've never thought of looking for Delma's Clarkite out here. And she seems like she's just like digging deep in her brain for trying to think of something right now of how to find this.
Half pint. I can't believe I'm going to say this. Does that ore have a particular taste? And could you taste it in the ground?
Gods.
I mean, I have
Are you
definitely
really?
sampled it before.
Are we really?
You actually tasted the dust outside of Tallwinds.
Yeah, oh, I did. I did that.
The dust outside
I
of
tasted the
Tallwinds.
dust outside of Tallwinds. Yeah, absolutely. I know what it tastes like. I would never
Oh,
forget a
God.
taste.
I would never
Does
forget
it
the
have a
taste.
taste different from
Don't
regular
encourage
goat?
this.
From regular dirt?
Yeah.
Yeah. I reached down and I grabbed some dirt and just like stick it in my mouth.
Gods.
Like right off the tip of my shovel since I've been digging.
The
It could
look
be
on
really
Eerie
fast.
Light Mix's face is horrific, and she just like, as you just stick the dirt in your mouth.
I'm sorry she does this.
But you don't know what contaminants could be in that. That could be anything in the ground. Why would you just put it in your mouth without running formal analysis on it?
None of you are dead and you've all been digging and breathing it in. It's fine. And just keep going.
You pick the taste up immediately.
Yeah.
There's a very sharp tang in it, and it tastes just like that weird dust. At least it tastes like the weird dust at Tallwin's farm. I don't, it's up to you if Half Pint would have ever done that with Cardia and Chromebeard around.
Oh
which
yeah, I absolutely would have, and Papa would have yelled at me.
Papa would yell, yes. So then, yes, you can pick that up as Delma's Clarkite.
Yeah, it's in the soil here.
That did not just work.
It did.
I
Son-
spit. I'm trying to get the dirt out of my mouth.
Honey, we all have our own strengths, and half pint's taste seems to be one of them on occasion.
When she's not licking burning swords.
Well, yes, that you don't do.
Oh, so getting past the fact that you could taste Delma's Clarkite, which I don't. That's ridiculous. But it's micronized, like it's small, like that looks like dirt. That doesn't look like Delma's Clarkite. Delma's Clarkite has a distinct sheen to it.
Taste this.
I never tasted Delma's Clarkite because I don't put ores in my mouth.
It reacts to magic, yes?
Yeah.
Here, put it in my hand, please.
Wipe it in Sonny's hand.
Just gonna try to do like a basic prestidigitation through that hand and see if it reacts.
Roll a d100.
That is gonna be 54.
Okay. We have to see if I actually. I don't.
And like
it's
she's
probably-
not doing anything fancy. It's
No,
really
I know,
just
it's just
a flare of light to see
It's
what
just a
happens.
prestidigitation. So you're trying prestidigitation just for light?
Yeah, it's just like the instantaneous like visual effect
Yep,
thing.
Yep.
So.
No light issues from the spell. The spell does go off. You do feel a brief kind of burning sensation in your arm that you might feel sometimes with ritual magic of like the energy being pulled a little bit that is very unnatural. And instead of light, a swarm of very beautiful purple and pink butterflies just shoot out of your hand and like dissipate up into the air.
That is not what I was trying to do.
I mean, it's a very pretty spell.
Yeah,
Huh.
you should do that more often.
Why? But Delma's Clarkite is it runs in veins like most minerals. Why would it be crushed up in the ground? That doesn't make any sense.
We've seen somebody do it as a ward, sort of, to
Sabotage.
keep their property from being viewed correctly, I suppose is the way to put it.
Yeah.
But-
What? They tainted the ground on purpose?
Yes, I do remember that. And I wonder if perhaps that happened here.
I mean, number one that you'd have to. So then it's probably not naturally occurring, right? That would make more sense.
I don't think it's naturally occurring.
Okay, that puts my brain back in the right spot because then if you imported some or took some from Allsap or wherever else you can find it, I still think it's mostly Allsap. You'd have to crush it, which would be a ridiculous amount, and then you'd have to somehow seed this entire area. How did it even get into the ground? I guess it would sink into the ground if you left it here long enough.
Hold
Or
on.
maybe you just seed where the digging is happening.
Yeah.
The ley lines are specific, are they not?
Oh, if you had one of the maps, and I mean, most of that's public knowledge these days. It's not like it's really secret anymore or anything. Not that most people can do anything with it. Yes, they could have seeded, but
And
I
mean, you
cannot
said
believe
you
I'm asking you to do this. Go dig somewhere else and see if it's not there.
okay. Somewhere that's not on the lay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go somewhere else
can't
that,
believe
like,
we're
I
doing
don't know,
this.
30 feet from wherever the lay is.
that would be enough typically.
yeah,
Yeah,
just to be sure.
Yep.
And I'll dig a little bit more, and then I'll taste some of the dirt.
It's not there.
Yeah, it's definitely over just the lay.
That.
How do you excavate this area when you're, digging stuff happens?
What do you mean?
Like, because you have to dig some of the area up, right, to get the lay crystal in there. So how are you digging the dirt up?
Well, I mean, the first thing that we do actually is we spend a couple months just drawing all the channels and digging all the channels for the pad, and we use shovels and we use different machinery. There's a couple different things that my family invented that makes the process a bit easier with wheels and power and stuff like that, but it's still a very arduous process. And then over here, we just use shovels. I mean, the ground where we put these things, usually the ground's not hard, but I mean, we do whatever we need to get into the ground. So it's not really the fancy part of making these things. But I mean, this project was approved a month in advance. Like, that part was secret too, because it's part of the city council, giving us the rights to do this and paying, and it's a process, but it's behind scenes and secret. So somebody would have had to know about that ahead of time and then get the Demis Clarkite from Allsap and then bring it over here and then crush it and then seed it specifically on the ley lines, so we couldn't do this unless they were actively being sabotaged, but then it shouldn't be that far into the dirt. Not that you dug too deep, but still.
I mean, we're assuming it was there when you dug.
I
You
don't
said
know.
it
It
was
might have been
happening-
mixed
yeah.
in.
You said it was happening randomly. Maybe it is being added.
I mean, technically the first accident was one of the very first chargings after all the digging, so that was like a week or two into the project. Well, no, sorry, like 2.5
I mean,
weeks.
if somebody wanted to cause a problem with this ore, they would just need to know the hole is there and have somebody who could bring it there.
And then you would sow ridiculous chaos with just sprinkling sand pretty much on this project.
And you said yourself this stuff looks the same. So
Wait, what?
this dirt looks the same as this dirt, right?
Yes, I cannot see anything without my equipment.
But this one has the ore and this one doesn't.
Wait. Do that again?
This one has the ore and this one doesn't.
No. Can you give me samples or put samples in your hands at least? And then she like, I forgot. And she like pulls her goggles up and snaps them to her face. And she like goes over and you can hear like some gears clicking as she spins and she gets close. And you can see like the optical reflection changing as she has like magnifying glasses in there. And she looks at one hand, looks at the other hand, and then just bounces between it a couple times and goes, son of a bitch, it's in there. I can see it. Now
told you
I
it was
can
in
see it.
there.
Now I can see it.
can't taste
This is
it.
the-
It doesn't have. I'm not going to taste it. I can't. I'm not. I don't think it has a. Fine. And she sticks her finger in it,
Taste it.
and she goes,
Maybe a city council
Yeah.
member who voted against the project.
"Yeah, I don't taste it." But
Well-
like, if that's an ability of yours, that's really cool. But I can see the Demis Clarkite flakes in there. Shit.
Told you it wasn't cursed.
Well, I mean that's good, but there's no known way to purge Demis Clarkite from the ground.
I mean, could dig it deeper, perhaps, but.
I mean, we could move a bunch of. I mean, I guess we
But,
could like.
if we don't know where it's coming from, they might just put it back.
Yeah.
I mean, we have this place under guard now. Like, it'd be very hard to sabotage it with us here. I mean,
Unless-
not impossible.
I mean, for an outsider,
Yeah, for an outsider, I suppose. Maybe.
You think an inside job?
I mean, it would make sense if they haven't seen any strangers out by the holes.
Someone's getting their hands chopped off.
Why is it always hands with you? Why is it always hands?
I always just ask myself, what would mummy do? And the answer is usually something to do with hands.
Already a blue flame cut people's hands off?
If they stole,
Your mother is
Oh.
a very scary person.
I'm gonna agree with that
look,
one.
you only have to do it once, and then
So wait, does that mean because of that shipment being lost, she's gonna cut someone's hands off?
she might.
Just like looks. Oh, well, that sucks for them.
It won't happen again.
Oh God. Well, I mean, if it's an inside job, if it's an outside job, it doesn't matter. My job is to get this thing up and running, and now I just don't know how that's possible considering the contamination in the area, unless, like you were saying, maybe we dig deep, we flush the dirt out, we bring fresh dirt in from somewhere else, and we, like, continually have you taste the dirt? I mean, I could also inspect the dirt as well. We can just get some of the goggles out and do it that way, too. But that's just, that's
Maybe we should
unfortunate.
tell Lady Navala what we found and see if
Oh, I was
she
going to
has
say
any
that. Yeah, that should be
ideas.
next. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine, but if we think that somebody here did it, I don't know if we want to tell somebody
I mean, I
here.
did not.
And
what-
really, you can only trust Gnome Sunny.
I mean, we are pretty trustworthy people in general.
I mean, Sonny
Moving on
seems-
past that for now.
I mean, you seem trustworthy, half pint, and you're not a gnome.
How dare you? My greatest shame, you bring that to light.
Gaspard is trust.
You
Anyway,
trust Gaspard.
Yeah, because sometimes he turns into a gnome.
this is flawless logic.
I don't think I need to even ask if you trust me or not.
Oh, you're cool. You earned it. You just can't inherently trust people who aren't gnomes.
Well, if we're going to do anything to fix this, Lady Navala's in charge of the project. She's going to have to be involved.
She
Everyone
might know
else,
whose
well-
hands to cut off.
Okay.
I mean, you have to realize, like, a lot of us have worked together for a pretty damn long time, too. We're Navala's crew, and we built the last 4 major thunder pads over the last 50 years. So some people come and go, different, people have apprenticed with us and stuff like that, but we're usually the same-ish crew, and we mostly are nice people.
I just had a thought. The invisible stalkers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The invisible what's-a-mahoozits?
There was business with... Long story. There was business with a Hagen or a Shire. I don't know if it was making them or just using them somehow, but there were invisible stalkers being summoned. We ran into one on the road.
I'm unfamiliar with it, but I assume it's some kind of just a spirit.
Sort of. Sort of. It's,
How would that tie in with the Demus Clarkite?
well, it would be an invisible spirit bound to someone's will that if they had issues with this project, they could just come and go as they please.
Is it? Well, if it's a spirit, is it one that can actually interact with the physical world, though?
I mean, they tried to kill us.
It was beating up our
Oh.
monk, yeah.
Oh, so it could. Do you think it could spread this stuff?
It
Maybe?
spread. Well, the one we saw spread the ghoul dust.
Oh. Gold. What? The what?
Don't ask questions.
It's a long story.
Dead people.
Long story.
Well, I
But
think
it was spreading it was spreading ghoul dust, the one that we saw. So another could easily spread something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose if you have previous, encounters with this and you have previous evidence, we should present it to Lady Navala and see what she says. I'm just saying, you got to be careful if you're going to go inside job with this, because most of us know each other and we work together for a really, really, really long time. So I hope it's not someone that works here, but some people on the crew are a little bit newer than others. We're a pretty tight knit group most of the time. When Sinar died, it hit us hard.
I realized that there might have been another way it could happen, so I just thought I would bring that up.
That's fair.
Of course.
You guys go on ahead. I'm going to stick my hand in the dirt, sit down, and start praying to Fade while they go talk to Navala.
Oh, okay. Well,
Are you sure you're okay?
Yeah. You know that thing you do with your gods?
Yes.
This.
And it doesn't involve blood.
That seems a little quaint.
so because you see Half Pint doing this is the first time Half Pint's doing it. Are you both staying for this, or are you going to go try to find Navala?
I think Sonny's curious enough to stick around for a second.
I would go find Navala.
Okay, just going to leave Sonny?
Yep.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Not, yeah.
No, hold on.
Go tell her. Go tell her.
Okay. Yeah. This sounds safe.
Do you want to escort?
Sure. Yes, because I don't really know. Where
I kind of had a feeling. Here, follow me. And
Okay.
Eerie, takes off. So we're going to go ahead and take a really quick break, and we're going to come back, and we'll be able to have the conversation with Lady Navala and the outcome of sticking our hand in the earth and praying to the goddess of magic fate, which these games always just make my everything. So we're going to go on break really quick. Please stick around. We try to keep the break to 5-10 minutes, but everybody needs to get up, walk around, get water, etc. We'll be back, though, and we're hopefully going to wrap this up tonight. We'll wrap up the show. This plot line is what I'm saying. Take us to break, please. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. Shut up. Was it Ray that redeemed Hydrate?
No.
Oh, well, thank you for keeping us double hydrate. Well, see, this is funny because we're getting told we're getting told to hydrate by our wonderful audience, which is important because we're a crew of pretty much, gay disaster stereotypes.
Thirsty bitches?
Yeah, thirsty bitches and gay disasters. Gay disaster stereotypes, and the meme about that is people drinking coffee when they should be drinking water, and this is actually filled with very tasty coffee from earlier today, so I will hydrate, but I'm still drinking coffee. So
What a rebel.
I am a rebel. Thank you very much.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Okay, so we're gonna pick back up right where we left off. So, Half Pint, you dug a small channel into the ground, put your hand into it, and you are praying to Fade.
Yep.
So, there will be a roll involved with this, but before the roll or anything like that, actually say the prayer or summarize for me, what are you going to say? How's it going to go? Give me as much detail as you can, because it'll help.
I would say something to the effect of, there's this ore in the soil and I need a way to get rid of it, and I can't wrap my head around it. How do I do it? How do I get rid of it? I need to cleanse your leg.
No. Before you roll,
Yeah.
Sonny is actually going to get her little ritual dagger out and join in and cast guidance.
Okay.
So you get an extra d4.
Sweet.
So when you say that, are you saying that Sonny is just doing this to literally help and boost
Yeah,
what?
the way I
Okay.
see it is that a lot of her like direct invocation of her god's magic is a blood ritual of some kind or another. So
But you're not attempting to talk to your gods.
no, I'm just trying to open the channels a bit wider for her.
Okay, so then you have guidance for this, which is good. Okay, and that's okay. So make a religion roll.
With the +4, right?
Yes, with the guidance die.
Natural 20 +1 +5, so 26.
Ha. Wow.
And
Wow.
Half-Pint
Those dice.
becomes a cleric.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, as we all know, nat 20s don't really mean a lot on skill checks, but we still all kind of lean towards them doing things on skill checks, and that total is a ridiculous total. So, Sonny, out of
Half-Pint is very
curiosity, were you
wise.
standing next to Half-Pint, or did you
I
like?
mean, it does require touch, so I
Yeah.
kind of imagine that it's kind of like she traces a rune on herself, and then that hand just goes on the other person's shoulder or something for a moment.
Okay, so like standing behind
Mhm.
Half-Pint or something like that. Okay. So, I don't believe that Half-Pint's ever really had Fade react or communicate with them directly based on what I know of Half-Pint's behind-the-scenes history, right?
That's fair, yeah.
Okay. So, you feel a sensation that Half-Pint's never felt before. Well, you are praying, in a sense, that even though Fade isn't your typical goddess, you're praying. And you feel like you're sitting on a stage by yourself at a giant performance. The audience is quiet, and it feels like someone's listening to you. So it's a very hard feeling to describe, but as you throw all these words and these feelings and this plea for help out there, you actually feel like somebody hears it, which is a really interesting feeling, especially probably for Half-Pint, who's never felt this before from anything. And then both of you hear a voice, and when you look up to find the source of this voice, you find a 5'1" woman floating a couple inches off the ground, legs crossed, and she has bright gem sapphire eyes that shimmer in the light. They actually look like gems. She has very short white hair that kind of floats around her as if it's defying gravity. She has the colors of bright pink and aqua blue, and is wearing kind of like very flowy robes that just like flutter in an invisible wind. And she is just floating there in the air, smiling at you two. Oh, she also has, not jewelry. In the robes, there's a series of 6 magic missiles swirling around each other in a circle. And she is just floating there in front of both of you after saying, hi.
I just flop to the ground like this.
This is... Huh.
Hello?
It's you?
Yes.
I did it?
You were praying. I assumed you wanted to talk to me.
Okay, taste this.
Fade takes the pile of dirt, looks it over, licks it, shakes it off her hand.
Right?
That's strange, yes.
Yeah, that shouldn't be there, but it's all along the lake here. Thanks for the help, Sonny.
You're welcome.
She focuses on Sonny for a second with the gem-like eyes. What's wrong?
I'm just very surprised.
Surprised about what?
Really just about everything this evening.
Well, I haven't really been watching you or anybody else here tonight, but based on where I am now and what I just tasted from that dirt and the wonderful prayer from you, it does seem like it's really interesting here. Were you asking for help too? Or was it just, I only heard one.
Just helping her.
All right.
Like, I'm not one of yours.
Yeah, I kind of picked that sense up. Nice to meet you, though.
Sonny Luoma.
And she looks back to Half-Pint. So, you came across this weird, interesting problem and wanted my input on it.
Yeah, it seems like it's crushed up in here and it like travels.
It was
I'm
blown apart by
assuming-
magic. It wasn't crushed up by hands.
You think so?
No, I know so.
How do you know that? I need to know.
Well, beyond the obvious fact that I'm a goddess,
Yes.
there's a distinct arcane signature around every single speck in there. It was blasted apart by magic. It's incredibly obvious to me. It would take... Most people wouldn't see it, though, which is understandable.
I'm going to file that away and take one of my vials and put some of the dirt that has the contaminants in it. Just put it in my bag. Okay, I'll figure it out later. But how do we get rid of it? What do we do?
Ooh, that is a puzzle.
They've had 4 people blown up. Like, just evaporated.
Yeah, I have a vague memory of some prayers about that as well. It's an interesting problem. That's part of the reason why I responded to you, is because I've never had a prayer that technically detailed. Well, I have technically detailed prayers all the time, but that one in particular is one I've never heard before, and this entire situation that I'm quickly catching up on is a very odd one indeed. It would have had to be blasted apart by a large magical force, and as for spreading it around, there's a million ways to spread it around, but that material is so dense it would sink into the ground very easily.
So just have to put it on top and it would soak in.
I mean, you're going to need to give it some time. I would say 2 months.
How long has the crew
2
been
months
here?
and 1 day.
7 months, I think is what they said.
Okay.
No.
2 months, 1 day?
2 months, 1 day.
Okay.
Well, yeah, to enchant the spike, it takes about 7 minutes.
Okay. That's interesting. Is there like anything that can be magnetized to like draw it up out of the soil?
I don't believe... No, it's not a magnetized ore in the slightest. There's a lot of different ways, but I'll give you something. You should be able to use magic to burn it out of the ground.
By just repeatedly casting spells? Use it up that way,
No,
kind of?
no, half pint. You have a giant rune. Use it. Channel a spell
Into that rune?
into the thunder pad.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
big, go flashy. If you use that as a nexus for a spell and spread it through the entire field and find out how to disintegrate all the Dermis Clarkite, there you go.
Let's not do that when people are standing on the thunder
I would
pad,
not. Yes, I would not recommend that. They would die.
Thank you, Sonny. I would not have thought of that.
I see why she probably keeps you around then.
maybe. It seems to be becoming my role, yes.
Did you have any other questions?
I can burn it out. That was really my big question. You know what I do want to know? How did Edwin crystallize the lay?
That was actually her reaction, not mine. That's a very complicated question that is not easily answered, Half Pint, as much as I would love to tell someone that is as loyal as you to my tenets and my faith right now.
All right. I'll ask you later.
The answer that you would get from me, I'll give you something. Second time she said that. Dermis Clarkite. In a way. Not the same. Just keep this ore on your mind if you're ever pondering the problem of Edwin and what happened. You'll probably piece it together one day, but I just can't. I can't explain that to you right now, and you're going to need to talk to a lot of other people. But if somebody could figure it out, Half Pint, I think you might be one of them. Unless you had talked to the Heroes of Arley and got them to tell you, but I doubt they're going to tell you with how tight-lipped they've tended to be over time.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Sonny?
Not for your goddess.
I curtsy.
It was a pleasure to meet you.
She fixates on you with like an almost, not hostile, but it's a goddess looking at you. And there's just something about the sapphire eyes that are like studying you. And she stands up. So the feet just drop down and she's out of the floating spell. Her hair is still floating around her, but she stands up and like walks, the couple feet over to you and just like studies you from the, shorter perspective. And she reaches out for you and then stops. And just like looks at you.
What are you doing?
You're playing with Fae. You're playing with magic. You're
Yeah,
gonna
Sonny's
get
really
caught
good at
up.
magic.
Say what?
Sonny's really good at magic.
Oh, I'm sure. It's just there's so much Fae on this one.
Well, that's because of her best friend.
Hmm. It's just fascinating because I haven't seen much Fey magic since the Feylands fell, so that's interesting to me. Hmm. Do you have any questions about the Fey while I'm here? And she actually taps your arm as she says that. And Half Pint, you see like a pinkish blue set of like lipstick appear, like right here on Sani's cheek, and then right here on Sani's head, and it's like a ghostly image of a kiss. And then she pops her finger off, and it vanishes, and she just kind of nods to herself. You realize there's not many of those left, right?
I've been getting that impression, yes.
They're rare. Make sure you take care of that one. If you ever have questions, you might want to send a prayer my way, or have them send a prayer my way, because they're a quickly going extinct species. So it's kind of nice to see that magic's still out there. Maybe it'll catch on again.
Maybe.
Fade kind of just chuckles and turns around, walks back, and just vanishes into thin air.
That was pretty cool.
That was much more direct than I usually expect a god to be.
Yeah, she's cool.
You both notice now, as after faded away, there are so many eyes in this camp looking at you now. There's a giant ring of people that have formed that all are just like staring at you two as Fade vanishes.
Hi.
They're like in the distance and stuff, but it's like the whole camp like heard Fade showed up and just stopped and were watching you guys from a distance.
Good evening.
And they all just like turn around and quickly go back to work in the different directions. But you can tell that you were being watched for some time. Well, a goddess showed up in your presence.
I guess I walk over to. I think we need to channel a spell, and right?
That was more or less what she said. A large spell into the runes.
Okay.
But let's
Maybe
go
we
find
wait for
Cass
Cass.
and Lady Narvala before we do anything.
Seems fair.
Are you gonna wait there or go try to find him?
Well, I've got the pony.
There are a bunch of people around. It's like, could you show us where Lady Narvala is, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can easily get one of them to just point you in the right direction. So while you make your way to Lady Navala, somebody's already there. So Erie would have taken you over through the most speedy, optimized route through the camp, and eventually she takes you to the area of the tents that you saw her head to originally. And in just one of the nondescript tents, at one of the nondescript tents, she stops, opens the flap, and just points inside. And you see that the inside is definitely enchanted because it is larger on the inside than the outside, which is not something that would probably even raise your eyebrow at this point, because plenty of stuff in Treetop uses that kind of extra dimensional magic. But you haven't seen it in a little while, at least. But it's a very nice decorated interior with multiple rugs down on the grass that they flattened out at this point. There's a bed, there's a desk, and Navala is just standing in there in the middle of a conversation with two kind of burly looking dwarves.
Hi there.
Oh, hello.
We've had a successful investigation.
You've barely been gone, nay, 20 minutes.
Yes, but we found out.
One moment. We'll talk later. And she like wags her fingers, and the dwarves kind of grumble and walk off, passing near you as they go out through the tin and kind of shooting you like a glare for no reason. And then she beckons you and then points at Erie and beckons Erie in as well. Sorry, unrelated business. What did you find?
It turns out that the ground along the ley line has been corrupted by Delma's ore. So the magic isn't working correctly.
Delma's Clarkite?
Yes, I believe that is what they call it.
They found that ore. Erie? Yes, they found Delma's Clarkite. It's powdered. It's through one of the where the rune spike's going up, and Erie just like goes off, and Navala's face like falls and falls and falls and gets kind of pale. I get it, Erie. Thank you, sweetheart. How did you find it?
Well, Erie was able to look at two soil samples and see it after our friend Half Pint tasted the soil and was able to taste it because it's kind of tangy.
She like looks down at Erie. Erie looks up at her, and the two just talk with facial expressions for like 10 solid seconds of, huh? Mm. And these two probably go back a decent amount, is what you can guess from the expressions cast. And eventually she holds her hands up, or a hand up. I must say that is an impressively unique skill set to use in an area like this.
I mean, I generally wouldn't recommend it, but it
No,
it
I
was
wouldn't.
really
I don't
useful.
think any university would actually offer that as a valid method of. But if that's what found the Demas Clark site, that is good. But what we do with it is very concerning, actually, because I don't know if there's a way to purge the land. So
I think Half Pint was going to try and prey on that to fade.
I
But
mean, good luck, but that is a good thing to do.
yeah, I'm not generally one to be like, ooh, the gods are going to solve our issues because we're pretty quiet. But
Most of the time, yeah.
yeah. But so we need to figure out how to get it out of the ground, or maybe you do, or something. Maybe it was like someone new, like it's inside job, it's been here for a while, or
You think it was one of our people?
well, that's an option. We don't know, but also Sani was like, well, we did have some invisible stalkers along the road, and so maybe somehow it's connected to invisible stalkers who like snuck in and spread it out because like maybe someone's really opposed to this project and wanted to corrupt it, like someone on the city council who voted against this project because they're in bed with big shipping.
I knew where that was going, but as soon as you said big shipping, like I just died. That was great. I love it. I guess I could see that. It's just never happened in the entire time that we've been doing this business, so it's very clever. They need a lot of resources at their disposal, and it would be more than just a vote. Regardless, this kills the project, though.
There was some brainstorming about ways that maybe you could get around it.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Actually, this does raise one really important point, though. Just one second, please. And she walks over to her desk and she picks up just a really ugly looking rock that has like a rune like slashed through it, like almost like it looks like a child did it for some reason, but it has a faint green glow to it. And she picks it up and holds it up and goes, "Everyone, this is Navala. Cease any charging or casting in the immediate area. We found Demas Clark site." And you hear her voice booming through the construction site of some altered like thaumaturgy spell. And she then puts it down, and you hear like you hear people outside raising their voices and talking. That's the most important thing, that no one casts anything now that we know Demas Clark site's in the area, just so we don't have another Karin or someone else die. But I thank you. I can't believe that you found that. We should probably find your friends and see what they're up to.
Yeah,
If they have
definitely.
any ideas, not that I think this is solvable in this case, but.
Mhm.
And about that, wait,
Just to
yes?
be totally suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
But sometimes it's helpful. I'd like to do an insight check to see if she is actually surprised by this news.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, go ahead.
21.
She's so neutral is the hard thing. You'd think that with how she's reacted, the way Erie reacted, the announcement, what you've pieced together, that she would be freaking out, kind of like Erie freaked out, and Erie still is freaked out, and you think she did. She's not surprised, but it doesn't seem like she knew prior. So she's just really weird with how cold she is, in a way, to all of this. But it doesn't feel like she was in on it, or that she's like, ah, yes, the Demon's Clark site that I planted. The Demon's Clark site for Cusco.
You seem very cool, calm, and collected right now about this.
What other way is there to be? If I freak out and everyone under my command panics, or someone casts a spell and they die, I have to answer to their family and tell them how their loved one died. There's no reason to panic or have excessive emotions in most situations.
admire that.
It has its downsides, like anything does. But we should try and confer with your friends, especially the one that somehow found this, and see if they found anything else out when you come to get me. So if you'd like to take me back to wherever they are, I'd love to speak with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you both stayed, right? You didn't, or no, you asked
We
me
were
directly.
gonna go.
Okay, so right before they head out through the tent, you two will be able to burst into the tent. So
I imagine Half Pint's the one who goes in first.
I can just see the walking with purpose.
Question. Did something happen here 2 months and a day ago?
I'm sorry, what?
Did something happen here 2 months and a day ago?
I mean, I wasn't personally here 2 months and 1 day ago, but we had broken ground and we're in the middle of the project, yes.
So no, like nobody came by and was mad about anything.
No, we have logs and things that we can check, but no, if you're asking if someone came by and made a scene or there was a fight or no, it was normal. Erie, you were here, right? I mean, off the top of my head, it was a normal day like any other day that I don't remember anything in particular happening.
Okay, well, okay. Has anybody you know been near Alsop within the last 2 months and a day? Give or take a few days?
It's a very specific time frame. We have some crew members that are from Alsop, and I mean, we hail from all around the world, like most places, but nobody received a shipment or had recently gone to Alsop, as far as I know. No.
Okay.
What did you two find? But your friend Cass was just catching me up on the horrific discovery when I made my announcement.
Is she cool?
She's cool.
Fade says that there was something here, that stuff that's in the ground, it was blown up 2 months and a day ago.
Fate answered your prayer. You heard something?
Yeah.
She didn't just answer, she showed up.
What do you mean Fade showed up?
Fade was here.
What do you mean Fade was here?
I talked to Fade.
Bullshit!
You can ask anybody out there, they all saw it.
Erie turns around and runs out of the tent, and you can hear the shrill voice like going down, and you hear her, you like hear the shrill voice. It stops for a minute, and she goes, "Fade!" like in the back, and you can hear her scream. And Erie's not very happy right now, and you just hear her in the distance. What do you mean? And as Navala hears that too, she's like, "Seriously?"
Yeah.
That's very
Yeah, she
impressive.
had quite a bit to say.
I say the gods answer your prayers.
The gods of fickle. That is that's an amazing thing for you, though. What did Fade say?
That the stuff that was blown up and put in the dirt was blown up 2 months and 1 day exactly ago.
I'm sorry. Please catch me up. You blown up?
Yeah, so the dullness, it's not it wasn't like chiseled into small pieces. It was blown up into very, very fine powder
And somebody was
using magic.
Using magic on Demas Clarkside.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. Why would you use magic on something like... Okay, regardless. Fade, still processing that, said that it was blown up 2 months and 1 day ago.
Yep.
And you're assuming it was seeded then, too?
I don't know that I would assume that, but I would assume somebody had to have had access to it from the Alsop region, because that's really the only place it comes from.
Here, make sure the flap's closed and we have some semblance of privacy. And she turns around and walks over to the desk that she grabbed the stone out of and sits down and starts going through first a stack of papers, and then she reaches down and like brings out 2 heavy ledgers and thumps them onto the table, smacks one down, opens it, and starts pouring through it. 2 months and a day ago, at least, was when it was made. Did she say anything about how it was spread, or do you have any ideas about how it might have been spread?
Sprinkling?
More than likely, it's just deep enough to cause problems.
Yeah, apparently it sinks into the ground, so they sprinkled it like, and then it...
Is it
Was absorbed.
everywhere? Erie and Cass didn't really say, as far as I remember. I'm sorry if you said that, Cass.
We don't particularly know. We need to light it all up.
I was going to say, you sampled some, but it seemed like it was mostly around the ley line itself.
So they knew what they were doing. Clever bastards. What do you mean burn it all up? It's an ore.
Oh, Faye told us how to get rid of it.
How do you get rid of it?
You...
Channel a powerful enough spell into the incompleted Thunderpad, and it should burn everything out.
You're telling me Fade said to use my Thunderpad as an amplification device?
Yes, and we should probably make sure nobody is near us when it happens.
But it'll save your project. So that's cool.
She grabs the amulet and just stares at the ceiling of the tent for a moment and just, like, has her own probably internal monologue with Fade and then looks back down. I mean, if it saves the projects, that's great, but there's a multitude. Okay. Here's where I'm caught up on this. There's a multitude of spells that we could channel through this amplification rune, because that's pretty much what it is right now until the spikes go in. But we're still casting it around Dima's Clarksite, which means how do we know whoever, it's going to take a bunch of people actually, it's going to be like running the Thunderpad before it's done. How do we make sure that Dima's Clarksite doesn't interfere with our magic? Because if we say we cast Fireball, which we're not going to, but we'll figure it out. If we cast something through there to try and burn this ore up, we have no guarantee. In fact, we can probably almost guarantee that the Dima's Clarksite will mess with what we're doing.
I think that's kind of the point. It's to burn it out and make it non-functional and inert. She said to go big
Go
and
big.
flashy.
I mean, that sounds like Fade. So overwhelm it, you mean, almost?
Yes.
So,
So you'll have to rebuild the stuff, but you'll at least have the lay still here intact,
I mean,
as far as I can tell.
I would be impressed if it was actually able to damage the Thunderpad no matter what we did, but Dima's Clarksite, it's possible. And she flips another page and then smacks a finger down. So let's deal with this first, and then we'll deal with that. The closest that I have here is 2.5 months ago. The only thing that's even in the ledger for the most part is we received some of the shipments. Most of the shipments of the parts that we needed for primarily the rune spikes were delivered over land, but a handful of them came through Orishire, through oversea, and that is when we received one of those shipments 2.5 months ago. The shipment was delayed, and she kind of like taps the ledger item.
For how long?
It looks like, as far as I can tell, whoever wrote this, a week.
Okay.
And it was delayed. That could be it, actually.
What could be it?
There was a storm. The ship was delayed with plenty of other ships. And at least the ledger that I have right here says that it was moored at the Ivory Cliffs, which is a pretty common port, especially in a case of emergency, I suppose. But based on what Cass was just talking to me about, you might have your lead there. The Haven Snout family controls that town.
You were onto something. Pretty clever.
So they took shelter there, apparently, which is the delay that's noted on the ledger from the captain anyway, for a week, then delivered it to Orishire, and then brought it here. I would still say a lot of this is a stretch, but considering a god just showed up, I'm going to stop protesting for the moment and just say that we get this burned out of the ground so we can continue on what we're doing, and if you want to take this back to Covita, I will also file a formal report as well.
Do you need assistance with any rituals to burn this out?
Yes, because you two just talked to Fade, so I'm going to kind of defer to you on this, even though this is my project and my crew, so at least participate in the brainstorming with us.
Do you guys keep this site under like constant surveillance?
We always have, typically. Once a site, we have surveyors that go out and identify potential future sites that are doing ley line mapping. And we've had this one, we've been looking at this place for years now, but ever since we actually committed to the plan, yeah, we've always had scouts nearby. We have a full guard complement of our own private guards. We have spells, we have wards. We tend to keep a very close eye on it.
That feels like somebody here knew about the shipment, maybe?
It's possible, or it could have just
Could
been.
be.
Unless you think someone snuck in, but it sounds like they can't really.
Or maybe it was just contaminated in the shipment.
And there's a lot of ways that it could have been. I don't know if we're going to find it out easily, but
The
Just
Haven
something to be
Snout.
aware of.
The Haven Snout seem to have a lot of ways of infiltrating things.
They seem to have very much carried a grudge.
Yeah. They need to lighten up, find some joy in life. Maybe that's why Giovanni's working for them. He's trying to bring joy to them.
I really don't want to think about that right now.
Fair.
Do you have any ideas of what we could channel? I have some of my own, but considering how much help you've been, which I cannot express enough how thankful I am for, what ideas do you have?
What about Thunderwave since it's a thunder pad?
I could amplify that.
It would drastically amplify that. I don't think the name being the same will really help. But I do see the bit of humor that you're trying for there. And it is a very powerful spell, and it does have
a lot of raw force behind it for very little initial spark.
I can't do the arcane math in my head, but it potentially could cascade to the point where it could cause natural materials to disintegrate.
Can I roll Arcana to kind of see, like, would two of these roughly do that?
Yeah.
I also have acid if anybody wants it.
You roll with advantage too.
20.
Are you gonna think about this?
Yeah, I think so.
Roll with advantage.
Good thing I have advantage. 20 plus 5, so 25.
Okay, so both really, really high rolls. Because of your encounter with Fade, you get to roll with advantage on these checks for the rest of this encounter. Both of you kind of do the arcane math in your own ways. Sonny is probably more of an esoteric,
A lot more intuitive.
Yeah, more intuitive way. Yours is actually going through arcane math and trying to map it out in your head like Chromebeard taught you primarily. Cardia taught you a little bit, mostly Chromebeard. And you're both going to come to the same conclusion that, yeah, Thunderwave, the way that the spell has always acted, you've even heard of it just like shattering people's bones into dust when it's been fired on top of them.
I mean, I tossed a boulder with it, so.
Exactly. So you both could like probably quickly get to that in your head doing the math and like even just look at each other and be like,
Two of them should do it.
Yeah.
Two of them should do it.
that's going to cause a lot of fallout though.
Well, is there anything, which direction is there not really anything that anybody cares about?
I mean, we're in a valley. There's not really anything out here to begin with, and I don't think it's going to travel miles to town. But,
Safety.
well, to the southwest is a cliffside. So, I mean, if you're going to fire anything, we could try and direct it that. But if you're sending it through the Thunderpad, it's going to amplify it in a spherical orientation.
No, that's
typically.
true.
But that works. I can have some of my best casters help, and I can help as well. And if any of you want to help,
Just try to keep the energies from getting to us when we do this, since the spell will have to be close.
that's the last thing that I was going to say is because the Thunderpad is not fully assembled, and even then, the operators and those that control it have to be on it or near the spikes to channel. We would be too, so we would be in the blast. So we would need some way of getting out after the spell cast. We'd have a very short amount of time for it to travel through the conduit of runes before it unleashed. And I might have a spell scroll or two that could help us, but we need teleportation is what we really need. We need instant teleportation or some sort of magnificent shield spell.
I mean, I have a shield spell, but it's really only good on me or someone else.
Probably wouldn't hold from the torrent of energy that we're all trying to release.
I could also expeditiously retreat afterwards, so I don't know if that's. You think that's fast enough?
You're not going to
No, you don't think so?
outrun that now.
Not with how big these are.
Could a horse expeditiously retreat from
Can I expeditiously retreat the horse?
I don't think I've ever seen that
What
done before.
Would it's amplification, yes?
What do you mean?
Would it not remain like just a thunderous sound, yes?
Yeah.
I can deaden it,
Around us?
yes.
Wait, you can do what?
Stop the sound?
Nullify the sound in our immediate area so the spell effect doesn't reach us?
I could try.
That would work, wouldn't it? That is a counter to that spell. if you can maintain a zone of silence on all of us, it should at least give us a pocket. So as long as we're not standing on a ley line or somewhere where the Dermis Clark site might be, that might work.
So we channel the spell, and then as soon as it is resonating, I just stop it.
Seems good to me.
I mean, it's dangerous though. Something could go wrong, and I mean that.
I ripped a burning sword out of a man.
You what now?
I ripped a burning sword out of a man.
He did do this.
Mhm.
Look, I'm willing to trust that my gods will keep us safe, even if we are following the advice of hers.
Well, all right.
Look, one of us has talked to a god.
The two of us have.
We need an initial caster, the one that's going to guide the thunder wave, and the rest can just provide raw magical support. Who's it going to be?
You can do.
I don't actually know the spell myself.
I know Thunderwave.
Yes, you can initiate. I will amplify, and then I will keep it from killing us.
I can amplify. I'm sure Eerie and some of my other lieutenants can amplify. What about you, Cass?
I can bless this endeavor through my own means.
I mean, I think at this point we'll take whatever we can get.
And if we survive but we're hurt, I can cure us a smidge.
I mean, that's very kind of you. I feel like if it fails, though, we're going to be dust.
So, I mean, I could be on the outside, so that way I can sing your praises to Gaspard, your best friend, and Matilda, your girlfriend. And let them know that you died in heroic acts of service.
We're not going to die. I think this will work.
Yeah, Fade wouldn't have told us to do if it was dangerous.
That's kind of what I'm banking on. Plus, the idea is scientifically sound, and it makes sense. The only piece that I am still concerned about is the Demas Clark site reacting with the spells, including your silence. So, you might want to, well, you won't be able to cast it beforehand. It's a risk, and we're going to have to take it. You do not have to, though. You are not part of this crew, and you have given us the key pieces of information we need to try and save this project. If you all went back, I would not blame you at all, because this is not your business, and you have helped us more than Covita or anyone else could have.
How long do we have between the initiation and the amplification completing?
I wish Eerie hadn't run off and started screaming. She'd know a little bit better. But I want to say that we'll at least have 5 to 6 seconds.
Okay.
Because it's not coming from the rune spikes. It's not charged at the level of the rune spikes. It needs time to cascade and build through the runes. 5 to 6 seconds conservatively.
I can prepare the silenced zone first, if everyone is perhaps ready to come to it.
So you'll hold the charge ready?
Well, I can. There are ways to do it quickly and ways to do it slowly. And if I do it more slowly, it can be ready and then initiate. And then once we do the thunder wave, everyone just steps into it.
So that means that, oh,
And that way we would know it is working first.
That's a good point. No, I like that plan. All right. Well, then we're going to try this. And she reaches over and grabs that stone again that has the faint green glow and speaks to the whole camp and goes, Eerie, please report back to my tent. All lieutenants report to my tent. We have a plan that is hopefully going to save this project, but I'm issuing a general evacuation order for everyone that's not a lieutenant. Please retreat back to the main road and wait for further instructions from me. And she puts it down. And you hear people quickly starting to move outside the tent.
If someone doesn't come back, they're the ones in cahoots with them.
Oh, I'm going to keep an eye on that. Trust me, I know all their faces. I just don't think.
I'm not good with faces. I can't help you.
Well, I'm very good with faces. Well, let's go. And they should, knowing my people, they'll clear out quickly, and we can give this a shot. And as she says that, Eerie bursts back into the room and doesn't have the goggles anymore. Bright red in the face. Pink hair is like freshly washed and blow dried now. Like it's dry somehow. And it's like frizzy in every direction. She's like, can you at least tell me what she looked like?
Yeah, she was a short lady.
That doesn't, but like there's so many different legends about later.
Blue eyes, white hair, short.
Later, Eerie. You got
With a face.
With a face?
With a face. Ah, yes, my favorite type of
The
woman.
person
One with a face. So, after Eerie pops in, you have that conversation. The flaps are opened up by a couple other individuals. There's an elf, there's a genasi, and there's a dwarf, and they all have the same kind of like jacket that Eerie has, but they have different symbols on it, and they just kind of like look inside. And your group is going to make their way over to. You're right off the pad right now. You just need to get somewhere where you can put a foot on the pad, touch the pad pretty much, so you don't have to go too far from the tents. But you see the whole camp emptying out, which is only about, the 20-some people that are on the team and the support crew. So probably like 35 people that are headed back to the road. But Navala leads you all over to the actual pad, conveys the plan to all the lieutenants that are there, including Eerie. And they all kind of spread out in a bit of a semicircle, just a couple feet in every direction, because they're each going to take a position on the line and step onto the pad. So do you want to start and try and prepare that silence zone and let us know where it is, and we'll get the safety net?
It will be right over here. And Sonny just steps back, like 20-ish feet from where everyone is set up so that it's going to be like right behind them.
Okay.
And then just kneels down, gets her book out, and just kind of starts tracing runes on the earth.
So is she doing a ritual cast of this?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not preparing it and holding it, you're casting your ritual ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay, ritual cast changes things a little bit. Do a percentile for me, D100.
She's gonna bring out some blood. Don't panic. It's okay. It's normal.
99.
Okay. I'm going to have to actually reference something for that. Sorry, Sarah, what were you saying?
Oh, I was just telling the people around us not to worry. There's gonna be blood, but it's fine.
There is.
Eerie's the only
Maybe a
lieutenant.
tentacle.
None of the lieutenants seem to react to that, except Eerie, who just like stares at you like you're a prophet at this point, and just kind of tries to shake it off, be like, ugh. Of course you meant Fade. It's amazing. Okay, hold on. I'm resolving this 99 really quickly. Okay. Sonny works through the ritual, having done this particular one a few times, I believe, and you're very familiar with ritual magic.
Mm-hmm.
The spell feels like it goes off like normal.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, as the ritual finishes, it's just kind of like that faint change in like the light in that area where everything kind of gets a little bit dimmer, and like as soon as anybody steps into the silence zone, it's like the kind of silence where it just feels like there's pressure all around.
Okay.
Yeah. Weird
So-
ocean witch magic.
So speaking of weird ocean witch magic,
Mhm.
you feel it sink in, you feel the spell activate, but there is this weird moment where it feels like you're holding your breath, and this sense of raw, childlike almost excitement runs through Sonny, and you realize that something is happening to the spell, but it's not a bad thing, and you got a decision to make really quick,
Mhm.
and you have to decide between... I'm trying to think of how to present this to you as a player without giving it away, because I've never done this particular thing before. I think I know what Sonny would pick, so I'm just going to go with that. Explain to us, Sonny, what a temple to the gods that Sonny follows would look like. Because you're going to cast the spell Temple of Gods.
Okay. Typically, like they're stone buildings. Very deceptively simple from the outside. Like they almost look like the outer walls were kind of just stacked and shaped together out of like sea rocks.
Okay.
Once inside, they get a bit more ornate, but everything's just kind of always got that feeling of like you're on land.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is very solid underneath you, but like it always kind of just sounds and feels like out where the water is very, very deep.
Okay.
Like kind of really easy to get a little turned around if you're not used to it, because your brain doesn't want to associate the reference markers correctly is kind of the best way I can put it.
Okay. Also, choose for me. What would either the gods or Sonny choose in this weird kind of hitch of time moment of a creature that the temple would oppose? Celestial, elemental, fey, fiends, or undead? That the temple would like repel kind of thing.
Probably fiends.
Fiends? Okay. So as this like excitement swells in Sonny that probably produces an uncontrollable smile, you feel yourself lifted up off the ground like there's a wave, two opposing waves that smash into each other beneath you, and you're just lifted and kicked up into the air, and probably a good 40, 50 feet, and an entire temple materializes around Sonny. Because that's what happened with the wild magic. Is Sonny just cast a 7th level conjuration spell called Temple to the Gods, and you all see it's like 120 feet by 120 feet by 120 feet, so it's not too big. But the way that Sonny described it, this building just materializes behind, and all the lieutenants like yelp and turn around, and even Navarra like yelps and turns around.
That's not what I expected to happen.
Sonny's voice issues from inside like the open door to this temple.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Everybody's just like stunned down there.
Y'all get in.
Well, we haven't cast the spell yet, but that's your silence zone?
It didn't quite go as I planned.
Is it going to work?
I mean, it should be nice and sturdy.
All right. Does it still have the principles of silence upon it, or is it just a building?
I'm just gonna step a bit further inside and check.
You feel the pressure.
Just nod from there.
All right. Well, this will be a night for the books. Here we go. And it's on you, Blue Flame.
I'm gonna cast Bless for Half Pint Sonny and Navala.
Okay. So everybody has bless, or those individuals have bless, the important ones for this.
What does
So-
Bless do again?
With a
So-
D4 on like an attack or a
Yeah.
save.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're going to be the one to initiate the chain. You have the spell. You can cast it as normal, but you need to roll an Arcana check while you cast it. You do have advantage because of Fade right now on that, though.
Okay. So let me double check. Thunderwave. It's not on here, of course, because this is an old sheet. Sorry.
Nope, you're fine.
Come
They want.
on. Thunderwave. Nope, not Tasha.
What?
Okay.
I need clarification on something in Discord.
So
Oh, smooching of the goddess. Sorry. Yes.
a wave of thunderous force sweeps out from you, and each creature in a 15-foot cube originating from you must make a Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, a creature takes 2d8 thunder damage and is pushed 10 feet from you. On a successful save, blah, blah, blah. In addition, unsecured objects that are completely within the area of effect are automatically pushed 10 feet away from you by the spell's effect. And it emits a thunderous boom audible out to 300 feet.
Yep.
So
You know that this spell's going to travel to the middle and then populate out like that. So you have the 5-6 seconds, if not more than that.
perfect.
So how's Half Pint going to cast this into the thunder pad?
I think I'm going to take out one of the, I'm just going to take out my homunculus
Okay.
because I can channel through the homunculus, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to channel the spell through the homunculus into the center from where we're at, and I'm going to
Oh,
step
that's
back.
clever.
Everybody step back a little bit. We can all get a
Well,
little
the
bit.
lieutenants
further
need to be there
Yeah.
to help boost. They can't step back. but
Well,
you can.
I'm going to step back as far as I can. I'm going to cast it. It's going to work. It's going to be good.
Well, just let us know on your word.
All right, ready? I'm going to count down from 3. 3, 2, 1, and I cast it.
Okay. Arcana check with advantage.
20, not natural.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, you cast it, and instead of it going off like normal, you are able to control it and just feel it like soak into the thunder pad like water into a dry sponge, and it just immediately there's crackling green and blue light that just goes out through the thunder pad. And having traveled on them before, it's like 1/8 of the magic of like the sparks that go through when it's actually activated, but it's like the same colors and everything, and it shoots out. And at the same time, like as yours rockets out, everybody else you can see is just focusing, and other crackles issue from them as well. And then the second that their crackles like leave their feet, because everybody has like one foot planted on the pad and the other foot planted towards the temple, and the second all these crackles go, everybody runs towards the temple to Sani's gods. And you all easily make it up the stairs inside, and as the weird pressure of the silence zone washes over you, in this dimly lit temple that smells a bit of brine with these beautiful like kraken and sea life motifs on the walls. You can all see the concussive blast explode from the middle of the thunderclad. You see air compress and the blast wave starting to happen, and it just goes and you see a ridiculous amount of grass, dirt, stone, random materials just boom, and the entrance to the temple seems to stop everything for some reason, and you can't actually see out because it's a dust storm or like you're in the middle of the tornado, at least for the immediate moments following it. And you can't really hear anything because you're in a silence effect, but everybody's like trading looks with each other of like
Sonny just very visibly goes,
you all feel very safe right now though, and very insulated, and not even a speck of dust made it through the temple doors. So the dust stays, and minutes begin to pass. And the dust is still there. But about 5 minutes from the blast, I'm sorry, we're
I
gonna
was going to say, Sonny will let go of concentration on the silence after like a couple minutes.
Okay, yeah. So once that happens, you all just have that weird ear popping sound as you're taken out of the silence spell. Very disorienting. And you hear this of just dust and dirt falling like rain on the roof of the temple, and that's probably why it's still so cloudy out there.
That could have gone much worse.
And that's pretty cool too.
I mean, we could have died, but it's amazing that, yeah, I'm very happy that you were here, Sonny, and that you as well have by the cast, because I don't think it would have gone well unless we had your help.
Oh, I really wonder how long this is going to stay here.
I mean, the force of the blast that we created was probably, again, arcane math is, I mean, depends on the estimate of like the way that you want to like figure out or state the explosive power of it, but I would say it would be the equivalent of detonating like a chunk of ley line. So it was big. They probably they felt it in Orishire, and they saw it in Orishire. We probably just woke up the whole town.
That's cool.
Of course we did.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We're heroes there. It's fine.
Oh, the dust cloud is going to be seen a couple cities away. I'm sure they'll see it in Mattel at this point, but if it fixed the pad, then it probably was worth it. So hopefully that starts settling soon.
Is there any area where nothing's crackling? Like where the lay was?
Oh, like you still can't see outside, but
Okay.
but you still hear the crackling and you hear the falling of the dust and everything. About 10 minutes later, so tell me, of course, if there's something that you want to happen in those 10 minutes, but 10 minutes later, it finally starts to clear up, and there's still like this light sandy dust falling out there, but you can see the thunder pad and it's still there. And
I take my shirt, I put it up like this, and I run out there, and I take a little bit of the dirt from the ley line, and I run back to the building, so I'm not inhaling that stuff.
okay,
And
everybody's
then I
like
stick it in my mouth.
a lot of the lieutenants kind of crowd the door and like watch you, and as you come back in and go, you don't taste it.
Okay, I think it worked.
I mean, we're gonna want to run like more tests than just one lick, but I mean, we're gonna have to like get a whole bunch of like, what?
I'm sorry, did you summon Fade?
No, I didn't summon.
And Yeri does have those goggles that we're able to see it, so she can
Yeah,
take
we
a
have
look.
their standard issue. We can check, but if I guess if she doesn't taste it, I mean, it's a good sign. But I'm just curious about what it looks like out there. Is it safe?
Is it safe? There's just some sand falling, right?
You saw a lot of dust falling, and like you probably don't want to like breathe a ton of it, but it doesn't look like anything horrible is going to happen if you go outside at this point.
Yeah, you could probably get through there just fine if you like cover your mouth and nose, but I wouldn't hang out
Erie
there.
pulls her shirt up and like right outside.
I'll be there in a moment. And Sonny just wants to take a look around. It's like, how much of this did this spell replicate? Because she didn't really intend to make a temple here.
Yep. So the temple. It's 120 feet on each side. It's dedicated to your gods. It is one room. Well, actually, no, sorry. It is one room and one interior room. There are no windows on this one. It comes from the caster's mind and what they want to represent of their gods. So if this is what they look like at home, it looks like it. You can make the temperature whatever you want, if incense is in there or not, if it's illuminated or not. There is always an idol or an altar at the end of the main room, and the door leads just to an inner sanctum of whatever would typically be in one of these temples. It will repel fiends because that's what you chose. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's just it's a temple. So yeah, you can look around through all this, and especially like those 10 minutes.
This is just like the one at home, but smaller.
Is this permanent?
I don't know. I really do not know.
I mean, it's nice looking.
I'm assuming because it was a spell, it's going to eventually fit.
Hmm.
I mean, the Dermis Clark site is weird, but I don't know if it's that weird. Who knows? Maybe we have a new temple that'll mark this at the Thunderpad.
Sounds like that. No.
Eerie comes running back up the steps and drops and goes, it's fine. It's just a whole bunch of dust, but it's fine. The pad's there. I can see everything. The spires, the spikes are there. Most of our tents are destroyed because I don't think we really thought of that. But it looks like it looks like it worked.
Cool.
Well, that is good.
And at that, the lieutenants and then eventually Navala also walk out and down. And if you guys, when you walk out, it does feel like, you're walking where just kind of like a very strong ordnance just went off. It's kind of eerily quiet. You still hear the bits of dust falling and stuff like that. Everything in the immediate area is coated in like a clay reddish brown dust, including the forest nearby. The trees all have it on it now. And it's like, it's like a compact of makeup exploded and the whole area just looks like this color now. But the pad is still there and nothing's cracked and the tents are all like knocked over or blown away and stuff like that. But you hear cheering distant from the road.
Can I lick your people's hand? Oh God, that sounds good.
I don't have a filter.
Look, somebody was sprinkling this stuff, yes?
I assume at some point, yes.
Oh no, you have goggles. Eerie has goggles. Maybe you should have Eerie take a look at everybody's like hands and clothes and see if somebody was the source of the sprinkling.
I mean, it makes sense.
I won't lick them.
Well, thank you for that. I can have Eerie do a bit of an inspection, but I don't think that it's going to... I don't know. It's worth checking, and I will check, so thank you.
Is the carriage all right?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. She turns a corner around the temple and looks in the distance. I don't see it, but they might have taken it to the road, so...
Does Half Point have the horse with them?
It definitely went into the temple with me. I was like,
Well,
come on.
It would have either been with you in the temple, but they probably would have taken it to the road too. So
No, I absolutely would not have let them.
Okay,
That horse was
okay.
coming with me.
The
That's
horse
why
is
I
with
started
you.
off early.
Horse is with you. All right. So at this point, Navala has a lot to deal with. They all have a lot to deal with. They would probably try to take you back to town. It has only barely been the time we've been playing this game. So it's not even 5 in the morning
Not
yet.
even dawn yet.
It's not even dawn yet, and Navala is offering to get you back to the keep for now, so you can clean off, get sleep, and that she will follow up with you in the morning as well, because she has to tell Kovita what they're going to try and do that inspection tonight.
Yes, we should definitely go back.
And there's going to be a bit of ruckus, I assume, because of what we've done. Hopefully the smoke, the dirt, doesn't reach Orishire. Kovita's going to hate me even more than she already does. We fixed it.
At least there will be a Thunderpad.
One day, yes, we'll have to see how, we'll have to run some tests and see how much this threw construction off, but I think that there will be a Thunderpad in the future thanks to all of you, so thank you. And
You should name it the Half Pint Thunderpad.
would
No,
you
the
put-
blue flame thunderpad.
I was going to say, if we did dedicate it, because we do dedicate them sometimes, would you want it to be the Blue Flame Thunderpad?
Yeah, mommy would like that.
Consider it done, half pint.
Yes, good.
All right, so you find out that the carriage was taken to the road by the rest of the crew. You see Eerie before you leave, and Eerie is starting to check people over with the goggles, and Navala promises to follow up in the morning. But unless there's something you want to do or somebody you want to talk to, they'll get you back to town eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you get to Orishire, I assume you're looking out the windows.
Yeah.
Okay. The blast seems to have pretty much reached Orishire of this just weird clay dirt. And it seems splattered up the walls of Orishire. And the whole town seems to be awake right now for some reason. And there is activity buzzing around Orishire like it's the middle of the day. And as you slip in through the gates, which are still wide open and everything, in your carriage, they take you back to the guard's keep. It seems like the dust cloud only really got in a little bit into the city, but it did actually breach the city, and some of the buildings just have that thin layer of like clay-like dust on them. But everybody's up in the streets, and there's just so many people running around talking to each other, and like they're not panicking because it was one big boom, but they're trying to figure out what the fuck happened. So as the carriage goes across the rattling boards that lead out to the guards keep, you were still riding your horse.
Oh,
right?
and I'm doing this.
Yeah, if you're just doing people are just like looking at you to go past. Like, wait, is that one of the what's going on? So
Covered in dust.
Just covered in dust.
So you
Sitting side saddle because that's the only my mummy taught me how to ride.
Cardia would teach you. You eventually go through the gates of the guards keep, which is now open again, even though it's not even dawn, and it seems like the keep has emptied out for some reason. And as you guys come in to the keep, the carriage pulls to a stop like right at the gate so you can get out and have pints on the horse. Mm-hmm. And when you disembark, the keep looks like it's pretty much abandoned right now because the guards are probably busy dealing with things and or investigating and stuff like that. But over by the houses, you see a small group of people who immediately spot you and bolt over frantically, including a very frantic Gaspard babbling about what the hell just happened. Vander, who just seems very concerned for everybody's safety. And then Matilda, who now is back to her former 6'1", 6'2" height, her proper height, wearing Sani's old outfit. And as all three of them kind of run towards you guys of what the hell just happened? We need to talk to you kind of thing. Matilda closes the last 35 feet with a poof poof of the purple pink magic and slams into Sani and just hugs her incredibly tight and lifts her up off the ground and goes, "What was that?"
Well, things escalated.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Why was there an explosion?
Half Pint would be better at explaining that one than me.
Look, they asked me to do it, so I did it.
And
okay, maybe not.
And she's just gonna keep you off the ground for a second, and as Gaspard and Vander get there, that's where we're gonna end for tonight, and we'll pick up next week. So, still not even dawn, and the city of Orishire now half covered in this strange
And it
dust.
was raining.
It was raining, yeah, so it's going to turn to mud. The rain actually stopped a little while ago, but yeah, the city's going to be muddy and smell quite interesting, to say the least. So I hope you really enjoyed getting to follow us along for this random unplanned adventure tonight in the Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern. I hope that Vander and Gaspard are out there watching us either currently or in the future. We miss you. We hope you're both feeling better, and we hope you're back with us next week. Prismatic Dragonfly Tavern will be back next Sunday, 7 p.m. PST, our new starting time. If you're somebody new that found us tonight, hi, and I'm glad that you stuck around and you like these dorks. If you're somebody that's been sticking with us for a while, friends, family, viewers from day one, thank you for sticking with us and going along with our antics and redeeming things like Hydrate and Smooch the God, which I'm not sure if somebody actually redeemed that or tried to redeem that in chat. Where'd that come from? Somebody said it, so
Smooch
yes.
the God.
Smooch fade.
Just
Smooch
starts
the God,
making
yes.
out with a god. That's not offensive.
I mean, yes, yeah. So that happened. But thank you so much for spending some of your Sunday night with us. We'll see you next Sunday, hopefully. Remember, if you haven't checked out Mythical Family's socials, check us out on Twitter, Instagram, all the different places. We have an amazing website. You can check out past episodes of things we've done on YouTube. And biggest of all, join our Discord, because we have a pretty active Discord, and Mythical Family is just not D&D. It's about creating diverse, inclusive spaces for all types of gamers. D&D is just one little thing out of all the stuff Mythical Family is trying to do. So we have lots of other projects in the works and a lot of stuff here in Northern Nevada and online. So if you're at all curious about that, or you want to, make jokes with the rest of us in our horrible meme channel, or share clips of the dorky people on this show, come join us on Discord. But until next week, we'll see you next time. Have a good night.